Joining us today is one of our sister shows here on Hamilton Radio, Mr. Sal Angeletti with Taker 2 Takes Over New Jersey. Couldn't pick an easier name. You had to pick a tongue twister, but he's a wrestling.
I didn't know what to come up with.
He's
me and my co-host didn't know what to come up with.
How about like something like In the Ring with Sal Angeletti or something?
I don't know.
I like that.
In
yeah.
the ring, huh?
And New Year's.
I sort of like took it off of like NXT Takeover or something like that.
Okay. All right. Well, listen. Everybody has a reason, a method to their madness. We just haven't figured out yours yet. No, but Sal does a show here on Hamilton Radio, a wrestling show. He's big into wrestling. He's a wrestling magnate, and we're happy to have him in. Sal's a big supporter of the show, and he always comes in and visits us, and he's welcome anytime. We have an open door for him. Also here is the lovely, the talented Gisela Bella.
Hello, everyone.
Yes, she has her new business out, and it's going quite well.
Yes, it's taken off.
I don't know how to describe it. Like, what is it? Personal customization?
Basically, I consider myself a personalization mall at this point, and
Okay.
I can, if you could dream it, I can make it.
Whoa, I like that's a good slow. You should do that.
You know,
And they're all made with love. She made a couple
everything
of
I do is made with love.
special order for somebody who needed some cups done, and the lady was blown away by how nicely they were done. We're waiting for Dave Hodge. I know we're starting a little earlier than normal today. This is going to be our new time slot. We may fudge it a half hour or so, but
While we're waiting, we also want to say a big hello to our men and women at home and abroad currently serving our country in the armed forces, and to all our veterans who have served us proudly over the years, who have faithfully been literally dying, right? Putting their life on the line for our country every day. Especially this time of the year is pretty hard for not just our men and women that are away from us, but also their family that they leave behind. So
you know what?
we thank you for that.
And if there's any of you out there, for those of you that can't be with your families this year, I don't know what it feels like because I've never not been able to spend time with my family during the holidays, but I can't imagine it's the nicest feeling in the world. And which leads me to tonight, we have a very special guest, second time on the show. Is a big friend of the show and a supporter of the military in every sense of the word. Mr. Joe Mantegna will be joining us at 8 o'clock tonight live, and I'm looking forward to that. And then in the 9 o'clock hour, we will have Brian Tishy, who was a musician for Whitesnake, the Dead Daisies, and he's got a new album out called Merry Tishmas, and he just does wonderful things with his guitar. He's got a new single out, You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch, and he did an excellent, excellent job on that. So I definitely recommend you checking it out. You can find it out on his website, briantishy.com. Speaking of the holidays and our servicemen and women overseas, I have a special message from our guest tonight, Mr. Joe Mantegna. He did this for us, and we thank him for that. So this is for all you men and women out there who are listening and who are away from home. Just hopefully this will bring you a little closer.
To all our servicemen and women at home and around the world defending freedom, this is Joe Mantegna wishing you a very happy holidays. You may be a long way from home, but your incredible bravery and sacrifice is always on our minds. And may the new year be filled with peace and prosperity for all.
Well, thank him for that, and we're looking forward to speaking with him. So we have a great show for you tonight, and I know you guys are going to enjoy this. And I want to start with our first guest tonight, Cal. You're a journalist, you're a novelist, you're a broadcaster. You've been doing this for a long time, and thanks for making the time. It's really great of you to come. I've been dying to get you in here for the longest time.
Well, there's a lot of synchronicity in my being here at this moment.
Yeah, that's weird, isn't it, though?
It's really, should I say something now?
Oh, absolutely, sure.
I mean, no, really weird. And I thought this was all
Is it synchronicity or serendipity?
both. Both. And let's throw in Kismet. I mean, if we're throwing some stuff around, we can do Kismet. By the way, my point of information, this career is really only 7 years.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
It may appear, because I'm 6'5", that I may be large in life, but the truth of the matter is, I've only been doing this stuff since I turned 65 7 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You don't look 65 or 72, as it were.
Well, actually, it's 73 now.
73.
Yeah. It's, well, that's a whole another subject. For a
Yeah.
whole-
Well, I just recently met you at Mike Marino's house. You have
Right.
a little mixer of industry
Right.
people, and I met Mary Ann Costello, who's been on this show, and her and Gisela. She's helped Gisela out quite a bit, and I happened to meet Cal, and I knew, it was just the way we talked about how we loved all. I was telling him about how all the iconic figures that we've had on, like Burt Ward and Tawny Katane and all the celebrities been on the show, and Cal really appreciates that, and that's why I said I have to have him on. And today, for some reason, yesterday I said, listen, if you want to sit in, we'd love to have you. And it turns out that he has a connection to Joe Mantegna, so everything happens for a reason.
It's so extraordinary. So, real quick, should I say?
Go ahead, absolutely, yeah.
So the connection's simple. Joe Mantegna is directing a off-Broadway play with Ronnie Marmo,
Right.
and it's called "I'm Not a Comedian, I'm Lenny Bruce."
Well, Lenny Bruce was a great.
Yes, and Ronnie Marmo is the reincarnate of Lenny Bruce. He's done a play 10 years ago, and him and Joe got together a little over a year and a half ago. Ronnie Marmo wrote this play because he is Lenny Bruce, who fought for freedom of speech. And they put the play on in Los Angeles. Joe is the director.
Oh, wow.
And I was such a fan that I hoped and prayed it would ever come to New York, and it did.
Is it still running, or is
It's
it
off
limited
Broadway, right?
engagement?
month.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, maybe Joe can give us a little hint later.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right?
I'd like
That
to
would
see.
be
I have
nice.
no idea. I saw
It's-
something on his wall, but I had no idea what
I
it
wonder
was.
if he picked up on it.
It's riveting.
Well, yeah.
It's a riveting play, and the way Joe directed it and staged it, and Ronnie wrote it. I mean, I'm such a fan. So I was there opening night, first row, because
Wow.
I'm going to share it on air. I have a little OCD tendencies.
That's okay.
That's. Oh, I believe me. I'm the same way. All the things in my cabinet, they got to be facing the same way.
Yeah, it's the OCD, and
Yeah.
OCD. One of the OCD things within is Lenny Bruce, and that's because he was he was an American hero.
Yeah.
And so I went to see it, and afterwards I kind of chatted with Ronnie Marmo a bit, and invited him to come on my little TV show, and he was busy and blah blah, and life is so serendipitous. We used that word before.
Yeah.
And what was serendipitous was I left, and my wife and I were walking to Penn Station that night, and I loved the play. It's at the Cutting Room in the city. And I stopped at a red light, and a strange woman came over to me and said, did you like the play? And, I'm saying to myself, well, who's this woman?
Right.
I mean, like, what's going on here? And I said, I love the play, and I love Lenny Bruce, and I love Ronnie Marmo. I'm such a fan of his. Yeah. And I said, it's funny, I have a little cable TV talk show in Central Jersey. Would I ever love to have had him come on? And she said, well, I'm his agent.
Oh, wow.
And talk about serendipity and synchronicity. And 2 weeks later, Ronnie Marmo was on our TV show.
That's amazing.
And we talked all about Joe Mantegna and his direction and the play and all this. And that's what it was really about. So maybe Joe can tell us later.
Yeah, I'm sure he'd
sure
love
he'll
to
be
talk about
really
it. Yeah.
excited about this, actually.
Let me tell you something. We've had Joe on. Actually, around this time last year, it was almost the same. I think it was December 15th of last year. We had Joe on and Patricia Heaton from Everybody Loves Raymond.
Wow.
And Joe's very big with the military, but as far as Lenny Bruce is concerned, as a comedian myself, he was like a trend, not a trendsetter, like a. He paved the way for a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? To be themselves and like. Well, my favorite of all time, everybody knows, I've said it 1,000 times, is Sam Kinison, and he set the bar high for all of us, and we dared to be different. Everybody loved Dice, and Dice was good, but Sam was he had that rock star persona in it, and I'm very close to his brother Bill, who's been very nice to me. And he keeps me close to Sam at all times. He even sent me a bunch of stuff that he had.
That's really sweet.
He sent me a first edition copy of his book, My Brother Sam, Brother Sam, and some stuff that, so Lenny Bruce. I would be very interested to see that. So it was. If you had to give a review of it, what would be your review of the?
I can give you a couple just words I'll throw out. Riveting,
Uh-huh.
heartfelt, sad, funny.
Oh, wow. So it runs the gamut of emotions.
It runs the gamut of every emotion you can have. Real and true. And the thing that gets me, I'm very active in Rutgers, as you
Right.
can tell.
Yes, yes.
And I'm on campus 120 times a year, and I mentor a lot of
You
students.
bleed scarlet.
I really do. I really do. And can you do me a favor, all of you?
Yes.
My warm, wonderful, congenial co-host.
Yes.
Do not talk about football, please.
Oh, no, that's
Oh,
okay.
I don't like football as
Oh,
much.
good. So
I
let's-
love football, but it's not that fun.
I like baseball.
No football, but in all the kids that I encounter, even one while I was driving here, I was doing some mentoring with a young graphic artist student. I always say to each and every kid, but by the way, you know who Lenny Bruce was? And 100% of the time, they have no clue who Lenny Bruce was. And you know what? He's an American hero because he fought for free speech. And as you said, Carlo, I mean, every comedian today owes a piece of their life.
Oh, they do. They do. And
We were
it's-
talking about that with Don Rickles, that they said,
Oh,
you know, a
Don
lot of the
Rickles.
young audience, they don't know who he is.
No.
He's a legend, but
Yes.
yet, you know, they're watching him with their parents, and like they don't realize who, you know,
Right.
Don Rickles is.
It's-
Same thing with
right.
Lenny.
Here's the irony of it. The audience know. A lot of people who haven't know about Don Rickles, but the people that are in the business, shame on you. I asked a young comic, I go, what do you think of Don Rickles? He goes, who?
They have no idea.
I just wanted to choke him. I said, get out of the comedy business. You have no business. The guy wrote the book on it. There'll never be another Don Rickles. There'll never be another Lenny Bruce.
I was lucky to see Don Rickles actually at the Tropicana
Yeah.
in AC. We had comp
Wow.
tickets. I was
Nice.
Well, I opened for him, and I
He's
was.
awesome.
She'll tell you what's the
He-
the first time I laid eyes on him. What did I do?
Well, Carlo fell on his knees and he started crying, and Don goes, "Get up! What are you crying in front of the lady for? Get up!"
You know? And typical Don
Wow.
Rickles. You know, everybody wanted to be insulted by him, but
that's what a skit. He would come out from the crowd and just point to everybody and start insulting like right off the bat.
yeah. And you know, and everybody wanted to be insulted by him. If you watch the Dean Martin roast, they are.
That's okay.
It's all Don Rickles.
It's the greatest comedy stuff ever, and you don't have to. They didn't have to utter one curse word.
Nope,
They
not at
can
all.
make fun of each other, black, white,
It
and
was
nobody.
all in good humor.
Yeah,
that's it.
nobody had to stick up
Couldn't-
your ass.
We couldn't get away with that show now. If you
Oh,
had the
no,
chance.
you can't.
Not at all.
You know what? You know what show would never fly on TV right now? All in the Family. You can never have that
Oh,
show.
no.
rerun
Or the
today.
Jeffersons.
The
Jeffersons. Yeah, hey, Dave, how
Well,
are
they're
you?
still in reruns.
Dave Hodge and
Barely, if you could
Steve
find them.
Keller.
And-
No, they're on.
No, I know, they are. I'm
Even
saying.
the Cosby Show's on still.
Tired Keller
Sure.
just walked in. Good to see you.
Hey, what's happening? Good seeing y'all.
Hey, what
Won't show the Dukes of Hazzard anymore, but they show that.
yeah, what you comb your hair with a helicopter?
Yeah.
CMT got rid of it?
But you know, it's weird because to know. And Dave, do you find this a lot that younger communities don't know who came before them?
Young people don't know anything about history of anything.
They don't. Music, TV, it doesn't matter.
right.
They don't
Neighbors.
know. They don't even care. You know?
Well, that's true.
Well,
they
think
don't
about this.
care.
I mean, you have your kids are younger than mine. My
Yes.
son. So ask them if they know who the neighbor's name is. They don't. Who? I don't know. I don't
No.
even
On
talk
what
to that
show
guy.
are we
They don't
talking
talk-
about?
What's that?
The neighbor's
The
name
Neighbors,
on
right
what
on
show?
Channel 2.
No, either way. No, I'm saying anybody.
Oh,
Like, you
okay.
Walk outside, you look
I was
at
going to say
anybody.
Tom Willis, but
Yeah.
okay.
They wouldn't know that either.
No, but they know everything
I
about
forgot about you
Skylander,
mentioning
Minecraft.
Yeah.
Yeah, they know about that.
Yeah.
They only know what they're
Xbox,
doing at that moment.
PlayStation.
Hey, you know that's Lenny Kravitz's mom on the Jeffersons? No, I had no idea.
Oh yeah, but let me ask you a question. Do you feel that as a kid that we did know all that stuff? We knew stuff other than what was like
We
what
had-
we were supposed to know as
We
kids?
had
All right,
encyclopedias.
We were lucky because we lived in this area, so we had more than just the 3 channels most of the country had.
Right.
So, we had the Spanish channels and Fox and UHF and Channel 9 and shit.
But that's
The rest of the country
that's
didn't have
another
that.
point, though. We all grew up with the same stuff.
Yeah, so
we
we
all
had-
like
we-
Bugs
we-
Bunny, the Flintstones.
Because that's
Right.
all we had was those same couple things.
But now
they
you
have,
got Disney, you got Nickelodeon,
you
got
turn on cable, you have 1,000 channels, plus you have Netflix, Hulu, all these other things, plus YouTube, and you can find anything everywhere.
and they don't have a common.
But you know what I
experience
noticed?
No,
either.
there's no common experience. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's a good point. The common experience.
You have a
is
young,
gone.
you have a young son. Like I think they don't even watch TV anymore.
No, my son stopped
They
watching
watch
TV.
YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube is
Yeah.
the biggest
That's the thing now.
platform right now. Is YouTube? It's not Netflix, not Hulu, nothing. YouTube.
And that'll be done soon too.
Yeah.
And it's a shame
And it's
that
not really
like that.
educational.
Well, that's
either.
what my son does. He goes on YouTube.
Slap cam.
Plays all the songs on his
Smack
guitar,
cam, yeah.
watches YouTube, and
Yeah.
that's it.
Like my son was doing before I came here. I went home to drop off his dinner. So he wanted a Baconator.
Oh,
So I dropped off a Baconator while he was watching YouTube videos on TV.
And they laugh.
On
Like,
TV
they
he was
just
watching.
crack up.
Like he's smart enough to know, let me not strain my eyes.
Give that to Ruben, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
Yes, thank you.
Gene
it's
Keller,
a shame that
Steve needs help.
when
Thank God Steve came just in time.
the kids come over every other weekend and spend time with us, and I love him to death.
Except
He comes right into the room, Dante, and he jumps on his iPad, and to get him off it, it's like he's actually like it's like a heroin.
Well, you could
addict.
get him off. Just get chocolate cake. And
but you got to remember, that's their version of kids playing outside.
right.
Yeah, but
Like,
I
they
want
don't-
them
they
to
don't
be
do it
active.
anymore.
I don't want them to be couch potatoes, you know.
That's up to the parent to make sure they're not, though.
Right.
That's right.
Like if you don't tell your kid, get the fuck up and go outside for a little bit, they're not
Yeah.
gonna do it.
Now, where I
They're
live,
not bright enough. Like I wasn't bright enough either. Till my father said, "The sun's up. Get the fuck outside."
I mean, we had video games, but like I was always outside. They had to
I was
come and
much
look for
older.
me.
We
you
were
know?
older when video games came to the house, though.
Yeah.
So
I tell you,
used
we
to
were
being
ahead of our
outside.
time with that.
They
were
they were primitive,
Yeah.
but they had to come and look for me outside to drag me back in because I didn't want to be in the house.
I got in trouble for riding my bike into Staten Island, going over the Bay
Oh
Bridge
my
to hang
God.
out and go to play video games, and have
old-
chocolate chip pancakes at Perkins.
You did not ride your bike.
Yeah, I did. I would go to
How
I would get
old
my
were you?
chocolate chip
Oh my
pancakes.
God.
I was like 9 and 10. And I was taking my bike.
You weren't afraid of going
You
over the
were
outer
Perth
bridge?
Ambulance? Oh my God. You
No,
were-
not from Perth, but from the Bayonne side. I
Oh
would
my
drive
God.
over.
Oh wow! You weren't scared with all them cars on the bridge like that?
Well, there's a walkway.
there's a walkway.
Well, he
there,
went
yeah.
to the
Oh, that's-
Bayonne.
Did they
that's
redo
why.
that when they redid the bridge? I don't know.
I'm not sure. I don't.
I didn't. Did they allow you to do that, or just
Who?
were you allowed to go on
doesn't
like
care.
that?
My parents.
The
no.
man.
The,
No,
the
but
man,
would you
no,
get in
there's
trouble
a
for
walkway.
being on the bridge with a bike or something?
No, you're allowed.
Oh,
Yeah, there's a
okay.
walkway there.
Yeah,
okay.
they have it there for
I
people
didn't
to do
realize that. Wow.
But
Yeah.
you know, that's why our generation was more adventurous with things. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like
where I lived in Brooklyn, we get chalk from the store, do a 100-yard field in the street, and play football, tackle football.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I loved it.
oh, that was just too much work. We would go pole to pole.
Yeah, we used to go.
We
to
do like the three
That was-
poles. You had the one
that's the
pole with
Jersey
the
way.
50-yard line.
That was stickball when Spalding's existed.
We played
Yeah,
stickball.
I
we
remember
did-
that.
My favorite game, we used to play touch football in the street. We played tackle football, but my favorite game was kill the man with the ball. Do you remember that?
Yes.
I
What
was
about
just
Skelly?
And Skelly was fun.
You know,
When the
I
crank-
asked
burning the
you
crank.
about
Hot peas
that.
and
You
butter?
didn't- you
I
know.
never heard of that, but
That's
I,
a New York
I,
thing.
I don't know if it's a New York thing. Maybe it's my age difference because we used to play manhunt, and you
we
call
did
it
that
something
too.
else,
Manhunt.
We used to hide under the parked cars.
or hide the bacon.
We used to have
or
a game
something
like that.
You know.
We would do that especially on Fridays because the parking lot where we played football was right by the bank. So when people were going to cash their check on Friday, we'd play hide by the car. And when the guy came out, you hit the back of the car. And the guy's like, here's $5. Don't say anything happened to you. Go home.
Yeah, it's.
But
Make a couple bucks.
You boys had it easier because you were allowed to go out. I was allowed only to stay in front of my door. I
You
wasn't
were a daughter.
allowed anywhere
We
else.
really didn't go out. We grabbed the small little TV out of our kitchen,
I had a stoop.
You
were
were
in
a
a
daughter.
stoop.
Yes.
go on the porch, and put the Yankee game on. And
Sal,
watch the game. on.
Skelly was with the bottle caps, right?
The bottle caps and used to
wax
burn the
in it.
crayon
Yep.
in the bottle
and
cap.
and you used to draw a board. It looked like a
Draw a
hopscotch board, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I remember.
I used to play
Yeah,
Chinese
Skelly was
jump
a lot
rope
of fun as a kid.
Stoop ball.
stoop
Stoop
ball.
ball.
I
Then
I
we
love
used to
haven't
play.
played that.
We used to play flip with the baseball
and
cards.
box ball.
it. Yeah.
The flip, yeah. Stoop ball, I only played with my dad because none of my friends played it because they thought that was the old people's game.
Oh,
But my dad would force me to play that and handball with him.
handball I like.
Yeah.
Box ball, yeah.
Your dad. How does a father force you to play handball?
Back there going, either I'm gonna choke you or we're gonna go outside and play right now.
Oh, okay.
You can't do that no more. Hello, 911. My
Oh,
parents.
no,
hit me.
no. You were allowed to do that back then because I found out the hard way. And I had a friend that wound up, in that system because of
Oh, God.
actual abuse and stuff.
Oh no.
And, I thought it would be a fun game to play with my mom, like, hey, I'll just call Dyfus if you want to hit me again like that. If you want to take my wiffle ball bat and beat me on the back in front of my friends, I'll call Dyfus. She's like, yeah, you little son of a bitch, let's see what happens when they get here. I dare you to call them. So I did, and they came.
In the 70s.
And she's like, you want to take them? Get ahead. Remember what happened to your friend in that home, though? I was like, no. I was joking. She's not that bad. She's not that bad.
I'm gonna take
I'm
it back.
sorry, Mom.
Let's take it back to the question at hand at first. When you guys walked in, we were trying to say, since you're a comedian, you're a rock star, you like wrestling. Do you think it's important to study the history, let's say, as
Of
far
your
as
predecessors.
yes.
Oh, without a doubt.
Whatever you do in life, This was something I was taught in school, but my parents also taught me this at home. It was also a good reinforcement at home. Whatever you're looking to do, whether you want to be a rock star, whether you want to be a comedian, if you want to be a bum, learn the history of fucking begging. You know, learn what happened. People panhandle different in different places. You got to learn whatever you're looking to do in life. Learn how it's been done before, so you don't make the mistakes of the past.
True.
Gene, did we get a call?
And you can learn from how to what other people have done to be successful, how you can mold yourself to do something more successful. And even as things are changing, like with social media and stuff, things have changed. Those people have been trying to monetize on that for a while now. So there's been success that you could follow there as well.
Right.
So it's a matter of paying attention. Kids just don't have that attention span. You know why? Because most parents allow them to do what the hell they want.
And a lot of us, we would say the old thing, be street smart instead of school smart.
Yes.
We would know
Are we up?
where to go and where not to go.
Yeah, but nowadays street smart doesn't mean the same thing.
Right.
Oh, we got it up, Gene? Not yet. All right, we just missed a call.
Did we?
So, do you think it's important to have a balance as far as street smart and book smart?
Well, ideally, you want both.
Yeah.
You need both just to survive.
You
Because
should.
I notice now too, even though we're saying street smart and school smart, I think today's children are not street smart.
No. But
No,
you-
they're
you
in
have-
the bedroom on the
You know?
on
Well, put it this way.
iPads.
There's kids that are street smart now, or street kids, and that's always the way it's been. Except now, more parents are protective, so
Right.
the amount of kids that are out on the streets are very limited. And unfortunately, only in certain neighborhoods you're going to see that.
Exactly.
True.
And that's why those neighborhoods aren't the best. Now we have a lot of kids that, because they're always sheltered, and that's always been the case for the history of mankind, that whoever's been repressed from something, that's the first thing
Yeah,
they
they're
want.
all
They
going to
have
put
that
their
little
kids
bit of
in a
freedom.
bubble and they won't learn nothing.
Yeah, they want to be outside that
Right.
bubble.
By the way, it's really opportune that you're talking about street smarts, because I've been on this campaign to put together a course for me to teach at Rutgers University as a lecturer. And what is it I want to teach? I want to teach kids to be street smart. No, I'm serious.
Yeah.
It's called Navigating Life, because I interact with so many kids in Rutgers, and they don't know how to talk.
True.
And they don't know who Lenny Bruce is, and they don't know basic skills of salesmanship, et cetera, et cetera.
And
that's
no matter
I'm
what you
trying
do
to
in life, you have to be able to sell yourself at
Correct.
whatever you're doing.
And that's
If
what
you
I'm
want-
trying to
If
do.
you want to work at McDonald's, you still have to sell yourself to the manager at that
Are
store.
we up?
Yep.
All right. Let me know when he's up.
He's up.
I
3,
can't.
2, 1.
He's up.
Joe?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Joe. I'm sorry.
Who?
All right, everybody. It is 8 o'clock. Joining us now on the show is a good friend of the show, the second time on, and just the best Christmas present I could have ever asked for. You know him from the hit CBS TV series Criminal Minds. Back on the show, please welcome the wonderful Mr. Joe Mantegna.
Was that a standing ovation?
Absolutely.
Oh, my goodness.
Standing but
Always.
sitting.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's fine.
Sitting erect.
Joe, thanks again, and congratulations on another successful season of Criminal Minds. This season was absolutely amazing.
Every season is. And congratulations on the wedding. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's coming up.
That's right.
We know the last time we caught up with you, you were doing so much. You were working with the National Army Museum and the Memorial Day concert, which is such a great thing. And I wanted to start there with you. We got the soundbite over the summer of you saying, and rightly so, and you do so many things during the course of the year, Joe. And one of the things that blew me away, you said it's the most important thing you do every year. And I know what you meant by that, but for the benefit of our listeners, you said doing that concert transcends what you do as an actor. I just wanted you to expound upon that.
Well, you know where it comes from? It comes from, if you think about it, if you really think about it, Memorial Day is like one of those holidays that to a lot of people, they go, okay, Memorial Day, well, we're going to go barbecue, we're going to watch the Indianapolis 500, we're going to, whatever it is. It's this holiday at the end of May. Some people don't even know exactly the date or care. It's just like, okay, we know it's going to happen. But of course, obviously, people with a military background or family in the military, they look at it a whole other way. But if you really think about it, Memorial Day and what it means, and the fact that we're honoring, people past and present in terms of their service to this country, and for many of them who gave their lives, they're the reason we're able to have all the other holidays. They're the reason we're able to do this. I'm able to do this interview with you, that we're able to do all the things we do in this country are due to the fact that starting back in 1776 and beyond, there were those individuals who said, you know what, I'll do what I have to do to preserve what we have here. And in many instances, that cost them their lives or parts of their body or whatever. And so when you put it in that, perspective, it makes you, at least it did for me, makes me understand that Memorial Day is actually the most important holiday we have. It's not, I'm sure most people wouldn't think that. They, first come to mind and think, oh, well, Christmas or 4th of July or, things like that. But for me, Memorial Day is our most important holiday because, as I said, it allows you to have all the others. And that's really, that's how I feel, and that's the point I try to make, and by my support for all the men and women that throughout our history up to the present who've decided to, make service to their country what their livelihood is.
I couldn't agree more, Joe. And it's a shame that most people, I think most people get it, the importance of it, but I think over the years, people, like you said, they get complacent, and it's not about barbecuing and stuff like that. It's, you're right. And if it weren't for the people who enlisted, the men and women who decided to say, listen, I want to sacrifice, I want to make this sacrifice for my country, and that's the reason why we're able to lay our heads on the pillow at night and get up and go to work and not worry about being threatened by another country or a hostile force. So I couldn't agree with you more. But I was so blown away by that statement, and it's very humble of you, but it's real. It's pretty realistic though when you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's again, it's like part of it even comes from the fact that back when I was 19 years old, like I toyed with the idea of being a pilot, and I tried to join the Marine Air Corps and flunked the eye test and didn't get in, and then went back into the draft, and I had a high draft number, so I never got called, and so I didn't think twice about it from that point on. And it was just like, it wasn't really till years later. And believe me, I was one of those guys that over the course, when I was in my 20s and 30s and even 40s, Memorial Day was like, yeah, okay, well, that's that thing. Because I had many members of my family who were in the military, but nobody lost their lives overseas or anything. So it wasn't like right on my, getting all my attention. But it wasn't until I did that first first Memorial Day concert 17 years ago, and to see, be in Washington, D.C. and go to Bethesda and go to Walter Reed and see some of these men and women, had gone through, and just the fact even today that, we each year we lose more veterans by suicide than we did, in terms of, the conflict. But the suicide rate is a result of those conflicts. So, I mean, it goes on. And so even though sometimes we think, well, things have calmed down, we're not in a hot kind of war again, so this is kind of maybe a relaxed period. There's never a period like that. There are somebody, it's a big debt we owe, but we're not the ones signing the checks.
Right.
It's these men and women who are. So.
Hey Joe, Dave Hodge here. Just I wanted to piggyback off that and not totally disagree with you. But as a veteran, I also think Veterans Day is slightly more important because we're the ones that can keep telling that story from a personal perspective and bring the young people. Like I bring my son to Arlington Cemetery and stuff like that, and
Oh, absolutely.
It's always good to have that family around that.
I put that right in there with it. I mean, it's just
that it's a 1 and 1A. I'm not disagreeing with you, but I like
right.
I have a bias too. So
no, and you should have it, and I get that, and thank you for your service.
Thank you.
But like I say, the thing is, people, I'm in show business, and the thing about Memorial Day, we have that opportunity with that concert to to do tell these stories, and if anybody's ever watched these concerts, know they can be very emotional and they kind of gut wrenching, and they really bring up and there's the dramatic aspect of that, and the fact that these are true stories. I think if hopefully help. Sell that idea to the public, and so that they, on a day like Veterans Day, like what you're talking about, it's changed them to the point that when they see somebody in uniform walking down the street, they understand. Oh, here's my opportunity to kind of go up to this person and say, "Hey, thank you for your service."
Especially
so
more
like,
so nowadays.
I like to see the people. I like to see Veterans Day be a benefit from what we're doing on Memorial Day, in the sense of like the debt we paid in the for the past hopefully reflects on what we're doing in the present.
It's true.
Joe, let me ask you a question. Do you think as a country we'll ever be able to repay the debt that for the service that these men and women do? I mean, I don't think it's just enough. I mean, everybody should do it, but I don't think it's just enough to walk up to somebody and say thank you for their service.
No, of course, but at least if you do that,
Acknowledge
at least that becomes like kind of almost a standard thing, or somebody is aware of that. That's a start. But no, of course we should always, I mean, even, there's a great quote by Abraham Lincoln, and I don't want to misquote Lincoln, but he basically said right after the Civil War how, it was our duty as a country to, take care of the orphans, the widows, the children, the wives, the family of, of our fallen soldiers. And of course, here in the 21st century, we're talking about men and women. It doesn't necessarily, it wasn't just a male thing there. But no, I mean, it's not that we have to repay a debt. The point is, it's never. You can't. How do you repay somebody who gave up their life when they're 19 years old or 20 years old?
Right.
I mean, you can't repay that debt. But what you can do is acknowledge that it happened, and then be supportive of as Lincoln said, do what you can to support those who survive. And also do what you can to try to. I mean, I would love a day that we don't have to have a Memorial Day because we no longer have these conflicts. I know it's kind of like
right.
I'm dreaming to think of that, but you'd like to think that. That's why people think that people in the military are they tend to be people who they don't want war. I mean, more than anybody else, because they know what it really is.
Right.
You don't see too many guys who are active military be real, hawks about it. They would just as soon not have to do what they're called on to do, but they don't hesitate to do it.
Yeah, Joe, let me ask you a question. Now, I've been dying to ask you this question, and I just wanted to say it was an honor to meet you at the Friars Club over the summer for the Dina Martin celebration when they honored her. It was great to have you see you there and finally get to shake your hand, because you've been a favorite actor of mine for many, many years, and the fact that and the way you go above and beyond for the veterans it just put me over the top of you. And I'm glad I was able to meet you. But during an episode of Criminal Minds, I think it was during the Replicator arc, there's a shot where they pan, and it's a shot of a serviceman in a Marines uniform, and I could swear it's supposed to be you, and it looks just like you. Now, was that a picture of a family member? Because I could swear that's you.
Yeah, that is. It's, you mean it was on my desk in my office?
Yes.
Yeah, no, that is my Uncle Sam. That's my dad's brother.
Oh, wow.
I mean, he's a spitting image of you. It looks just like you.
Yeah, in fact, I look more like him than I did my father. It was just kind of one of those things.
Carlo's good, huh?
No,
but that was, I keep that on my desk, and there's never been in an episode where I explained who it was. I just kind of let it speak for itself, because next to it is a picture that we kind of made up that's supposed to be from my platoon in Vietnam, because my character was supposed to be a Vietnam veteran, and that was intentional. I mean, when I first joined the show, when we started fleshing out who David Rossi was, I thought it would be being on obviously a hit hour-long drama that has had now 14 years worth of success. I thought this is a good vehicle to be able to highlight things that I feel are important. So I intentionally told the writers, I said, make my character a veteran, make him a Vietnam vet, because that's the era that I grew up in, and we'll do some stories that relate to that. And I was so happy and proud to be able to actually direct two particular episodes that dealt with that storyline about finding out my commanding officer homeless on the streets of Los Angeles, and the story that revolved around that, because that's a real issue. So to be able to highlight a real issue of homelessness among our veterans and to tell that story and see it to its conclusion was a very big very big for me. I mean, I just so blessed to have the chance to do that, and so I'm grateful for Criminal Minds for letting me, be able to tell that story.
Wow.
And was that the episode with one of your who was a dear friend of yours?
Meshack Taylor,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
And then the actor, we did 3 episodes about that character. The first one where I find him homeless on the streets. The second episode, which was the one I directed, the first episode I directed, where he leaves the place, which is a place called New Directions, which is a real place here in Los Angeles that takes in homeless veterans or drug addicted, alcoholic veterans or whatever, and straightens them out. So he left that place. Then the actor, Meshack Taylor, contracted cancer, and he passed away.
Yeah.
And so we decided to do a third and final episode, and we actually, had a full Marine funeral. We buried his character. I flew in 2 3-star Marine generals that I know that I've gotten close to over the years from doing the concert, and we had an official Marine burial on camera, where we filmed it, and I brought in all these Vietnam veteran friends of mine to be the, members of the platoon to kind of be at the funeral. So to me, that was art imitating life.
Yeah.
To be able to kind of, bring that into a television program, a show, a drama, and actually have some real elements in there. And when I place my hand on the coffin at the end of that episode and walk away from that coffin, I was not just saying goodbye to a character, I was saying goodbye to one of my closest friends for over 40 years, a godfather to my children.
Yeah.
Meshack Taylor, one of my dearest friends in the world. So
That episode
that was pretty heavy.
Yeah, that was a very moving episode. And we have in studio today is a special guest. His name is Cal Schwartz. He's a big fan of yours, and he has. It's funny because I asked him if he wanted to sit in today because I know he's a fan of yours, and he has a special connection to you. Cal, you want to tell him?
Oh, sure. So you don't know me, but the moment this morning when Carlo contacted me and said you're going to be on, I said, oh my God, this is like so serendipitous. Why is it serendipitous? Well, because 2 weeks ago Ronnie Marmo was on my cable TV talk show.
Oh, great. Okay.
So I've been of course I'm a fan of yours, and we could talk for hours on a whole bunch of different topics, but they're all staring at me and I can't. So I'm a huge fan of Lenny Bruce's, going way back. I have all his albums. I'm a fan of Kitty Bruce. And then 10 years ago, I saw Ronnie perform at the Edison Valley Playhouse. And he just blew me away. Lenny Bruce is back. And then I became a fan of Ronnie Marmo, and I've always had a really hard time distinguishing Lenny from Ronnie, and vice versa.
Yeah, well, have you been able to see the play?
I was there.
Right now?
I was there opening night. This is
great.
Is how it all came down. Not only was I there opening night, but I sat in the first row, a little towards the left, as we discussed on the TV show. Where we weren't privy to as your direction. That opening scene was so riveting
right.
and powerful. And how did
all
this...
I just got a text from him 10 minutes ago.
Oh, wow.
And all it said was the house is packed tonight.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Which I was so thrilled to see. I mean, here it is.
Wow.
It's a Wednesday night off Broadway, and he's got a packed house tonight, and as it should be. I mean, he's doing a tremendous job.
Tremendous. But your work and his work is beyond. And I go absolutely crazy because I'm involved in Rutgers University. I talk to a million college kids. Nobody knows who Lenny Bruce is.
They should.
No, I know. Well, that's that's part of the reason why I'm so happy the play is getting the exposure it's getting, because what we have is when young people do see it, even one of my daughters, when she saw it, came up to me and said afterwards, God, after seeing it, well, all I wanted to do was get to Google and Google Lenny Bruce and learn about more about this person, and I think that's if nothing else, that's one of the hopefully great side effects of the play itself, of getting that interest back to people who don't know who it is, because then you get people like yourself who already know, and then they go in to see it and are able to appreciate it on that level.
Yeah, you know what, Joe? As a comedian and doing radio, it bothers me when you have someone in the field, like say, as a comedian, and you meet the younger generation coming up, and you want to encourage them, by all means. But when you ask them who Don Rickles is, and they don't know it,
Right. No, you're right.
Or
You're right.
as an actor, if a young guy come up to you and has no idea who Don Amici is or something, that's crazy.
Exactly.
You
No, you got to do your homework. My
on,
dear
Heaven
friend
Can
Dan
Wait, great
Loria,
movie.
who played the father in the Wonder Years, he's been such a great proponent of that because he taught, actors for a long time, and he would always, part of his education of young actors would always be he'd make them watch some of these old movies of some of these great old actors, or educate them about, and he would tell them, he says, look, you have to you have to learn who came before you. You have to understand who the greats were in your profession if you're going to be serious about it. And it should be that in any line of work. I mean, just like what you said. I mean, I can't even imagine if you're going to make a career as a comedian that you wouldn't want to know whose shoulders you're standing on.
Right. I mean, you should know your predecessors. I mean, it should be. It's like History 101. I mean, come on.
Right. Exactly.
Now, Joe, let me ask you. Criminal Minds is my favorite show. I thought it was a great show, and then once you came on, I thought it doubled in its value because you just brought a different aspect to your character, and that being because in high school, I don't know if I mentioned this the last time we interviewed you, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to profile serial killers, not because I like what they do. It just boggles my mind that why they act like this. And some of them, they have backstories. They were abused or something, but generally they're just wired wrong. And it amazes me that you profile these people and you can tell them when you catch this guy, how do you know he's going to have a stutter? I mean, it just boggles my mind. You have no idea who this unsub is. I love that word when you use it on the show. And it was even greater that I was reading these books by John Douglas, and your character is loosely based on him. Is that true?
Yes. Yeah, somewhat in the sense that, that I was the backstory is that I was one of the guys who founded the unit. We did an episode that kind of showed that Mandy Patinkin's character and my character, we had two different actors, young guys, play us as young men, and that we kind of started the unit, and that I retired. I went on to write books and kind of be a lecturer, and so it's somewhat loosely based on somebody like John Douglas, who wrote Manhunter, and it's ironically they've even gotten our show on one of the cable stations. I know that kind of is more closely about that. But yeah, I mean, I find it very fascinating. What I find really fascinating is that the show, our show, a lot of people don't realize that our show is syndicated around the world on ABC. Our show's it's on CBS here in the United States, but almost everywhere else in the world it's on ABC. And they tell me that ABC tells me it's their #1 syndicated show in the world.
Oh wow!
So it's like it's that impact that it has internationally. So in other words, it transcends being an American show. People are fascinated by that world and about what goes on in the mind of these people. It's not a show just about evidence, and it's not your typical cop show.
Right.
It's something else, and maybe that's part of the reason why they've tried 2 spin-offs and neither of them worked. It's almost like it's just like this one kind of thing that seems to hold people's interest, and we take it very seriously, and I'm just glad to be a part of it.
Yeah, it's very macabre stuff, and I think that's for some reason audiences eat that up, and it's what the best part about it is that it's taken from real life stories. Now, do you guys have somebody on the set that's actually like a technical advisor that tells you, or
oh yeah,
based on
from day one, we've had he was active at the time, but he's retired now. He was retired, supervisory special agent. I mean, he's an Italian American. He and I are very close because he was so thrilled that I made my character an Italian American because there wasn't a character like that on the show at the time, and that's what he is. So he's been there the whole 14 years the show's been on. So all we have to do is walk across, the hall to talk to Jim and find out if anything is, how realistic something is, or what would be the right protocol, or what's the correct procedure for such and such. Because we are playing a real organization, and it's not some fictitious kind of science fiction show that, we're making this stuff up. Some of the stories some of them are based on true incidents. Some of them are just the writer's imagination, but they all fall within the realm of either it has happened or it could happen.
Right, it's believable.
It's within that realm of possibility. But we have to pretty much play it the way that the real organization does, and then we have tremendous respect for them, and that keeps us on our toes as well.
Gisela?
Hi, Joe. This is Gisela. Every week we do some inquiring mind questions, and I wanted to ask you this week, who has had the biggest impact on the person that you've become today?
Wow, that's a really good question. I would probably say my mother. And I would say that because my father died, I was fairly young. I was only about 22 years old, and he had been sick most of his life. It was partly disabled. So my mother, for like 25 years, had to wrap packages for Sears Roebuck. That's what she did for a living for 25 years, working in the mail order. And my father had to retire early, so like he was about 40 when he had to stop working, and then died at about 57. And so my mother,
wow.
But when you're a kid, you're not even aware of that stuff. And my father had, because of his illness, he had a drinking problem, and he was institutionalized for that, and then finally beat that, and then died just a few years later.
Oh, wow.
But when I say my mother had an impact on me, she lived to be 101 years old.
God
oh,
bless
wow.
her.
God bless her.
Yeah, and she just died 2 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
And when we spoke, my brother and I spoke at her funeral, and he said something very funny, and this is very typical of my mother. He says, my brother Joey doesn't even know this, but when he got the series Criminal Minds, her mother called my brother Ron, and she was about 90 at the time, 92, maybe 90, I guess. And my brother answers the phone, goes, what is it? She goes, I'm worried about your brother Joey. And my brother says, why? And she says, he's only working an hour a week. Because, my brother told her, he's going to be on this TV show now called Criminal Minds. So, and the reason it's kind of equally funny is that because I'm not sure my mother ever really understood what I did for a living or cared.
Oh, wow. That's,
And because that was her attitude in life, it was always like, it's like as long as you're okay, I remember when people asked her when I did the series Joan of Arcadia, that somebody asked her about it because of course she'd watch the stuff I would do, but it didn't, she was just happy to see that I was on this, she could see me. And they asked her about Joan of Arcadia. They said, do you like it? She goes, oh yeah, I like that show because he doesn't get whacked in it. I'd seen so many movies I had done where I got whacked. But that was my mother. So you asked that question. I think, she probably had the greatest impact on me because if nothing else, she's kept me grounded. I would like to think that I take what I do very seriously, but I don't take the business or much, anything else, that aspect of it very seriously at all.
right.
In other words, it's my occupation. It's what I do for a living, but it's no different than, the guy on the set that's, cleaning the sound stage when I leave. That's what he does for a living. So we're both in show business. I probably get paid considerably more than he does, but that doesn't make, it any better, or me better, or,
Yeah.
I have a public profession. I get it.
Right.
And so people recognize me and go, hey, Joe, I love your work. And, it's very flattering, and I feel blessed, and I'm happy that I have the life I live.
Joe, when
But my mother kind of set the stage for me to be like, hey, you know what? Just be happy you're here and make the most of it and have a good time.
And I could tell you had a
Yeah.
good mom from your response is really
she
great.
was Italian. What
Yeah.
else,
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, old school Italian, definitely.
Absolutely.
When you decided to get into acting, was she supportive, or she said, no, I want you to be a doctor or a lawyer?
No, not at all. You know what I mean? First of all, what was funny is that they never said anything. And then my brother, who's 8 years older than me, I finally asked him this. I asked him that very question. I said, you know what? I said, Mom and Dad, they never said nothing about me when I kind of got serious about becoming an actor. I said, did they ever mention anything to you? And my brother said, well, once they did. He said, well, Dad, would have been a little bit more serious-minded than my mother. Because my mother was Baudet's and my father was Sicilian, so that's the difference.
Boy.
It's almost like a mixed marriage. If you're Italian, you would know that.
That was a good sauce. No.
But the Sicilian father said to my brother, he says, "What's this? With your brother wanting to be an actor? Should we be me saying I'm going to be an actor would be like saying I'm going to be a Martian, because there was nobody in show business anywhere remotely in my family." So they said, "Should we be concerned? Should we say something, do anything?" And in my brother's wisdom, he just told them, he says, No. He says it's not dangerous. Let him do it. Let him go ahead and pursue it. And if he's smart enough that if it doesn't work out, he'll move on to something else. And I think that's all they needed to hear. It was like, great, okay, we just got the clearance that we don't have to say nothing. We don't have to get involved. Let him go do what he wants to do.
Oh, that's good.
And it was the best kind of advice. And my parents, their reaction toward me made it the best kind of environment, because I wasn't being pushed. There are some instances where people get pushed into it because the parents want to live vicariously through the kid.
Right.
And say, yeah, be a star, go do this, be that. So I didn't get that, and yet I didn't get the other thing of either, of like, no, you don't want to be an actor. What are you, crazy? You want to be a doctor, a lawyer, a dentist, And I've had friends that were in that position.
Yeah.
But for me, it was nothing. So if I wanted it, I had to go get it.
Yeah.
And so there was no plan B. If this didn't work out, I guess I don't know what I would have done.
Yeah.
But whatever. I didn't have to.
Nice.
It worked out.
Hey, Joe, over the summer we had a very close friend of yours on, and he was a great interview. He's was fun. He says you've been hanging out at his house. We talked to him about Michael Tucci.
Oh God, yeah.
We
One
had
of
him
my
on,
biggest friends in the world.
and we were talking about the old days in Brooklyn, and he was telling me, and I'm trying to talk to him about his career, and he just keeps bringing up restaurants and food.
Oh yeah. Well, that's Mike. Usually, when you see him at any given, the first thing out of his mouth is, "What'd you eat today?"
Typical Italian.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
Especially being
Michael
stuck
is.
out.
He's for people who don't know Michael Tucci, he was Sonny in the movie Grease, and that was his big claim to fame. But he's done a lot of other stuff as well. But he's a great human being. I mean, I love him to death, and we're the godfather to his oldest daughter, and he's just a dear friend.
Sounds like we're talking to a cousin over here.
Yeah,
I love it.
he was telling me, I think his wife was from Boston, and he was trying to remember one of the big restaurants out there. So he's on the phone with us, and he's yelling at his wife in the background. What's the name of the restaurant they used to? Can you Google it? Can you?
Yeah, exactly. No, but food is the primary kind of hot button for Mike.
So what's your favorite restaurant of all time?
Yeah.
Taste Chicago.
Yeah, that's my wife's restaurant, Taste Chicago.
Yeah, I definitely got to try when I get out to L.A. Now, Joe, let me ask you, being that you got married this season, is this going to be is your character going to be more prevalent, or you're going to be a little less with the storyline now because of the marriage thing, or is it?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think first of all, I'm remarrying the third wife.
Right.
So, I mean, we established that I was married 3 times. This was the one I married 20 years ago, who was a dealer in Vegas, and the marriage lasted 24 hours, and we got married at an Elvis impersonator place.
Nice.
And we got annulled the next morning. I mean, I've told a story a couple seasons ago, and we kind of threw it away. That's why I'm never going to get married again. We both got drunk, and I got married. But then we decided to explore that. And again, I got involved with that with our producer and the writers, saying, wouldn't it be fun to kind of, first of all, I wanted to tell the story of the 3 wives, which we did. We dealt with the first ex-wife. We dealt with the second ex-wife. We found out I had a child with that I didn't know about. And that became a whole kind of arc in itself, that I have this daughter, a biracial daughter, through the second marriage.
Oh, wow.
And then we said, no, we finally have to deal with the third wife. And as we got into it, we realized, you know what? It would be ironic that would be the one that was only there for 24 hours, that we both got drunk and we did it on a whim, that would be the one that sticks, that the 20 years later we hook up again, and it's like, wow, there actually was something there. And that's what we're dealing with, and that's kind of what's come up to this point now. And so that the last, I guess it aired a few weeks ago, the episode where I proposed to her. And when we get back, we're gonna, there's a wedding in the works that should be, it's gonna be some few surprises in that as well. In that
Can't wait to pick out my dress. No, I'm kidding.
I can't wait for this. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, there's gonna be some really interesting stuff happening at the wedding. I think what people will get a kick out of.
Cal, you had another question for Joe?
Quick question. Back to I'm not a comedian. Lenny Bruce.
Uh-huh.
I think armies. I could talk to you for hours about this. Armies of young people, of middle-aged people, older people should see this. It's wonderful. I mean, riveting and sad and heartfelt, and it's a million emotions all wrapped up in one. And it's free speech. Period. So,
Right.
question: might it be extended?
Yeah, because I didn't get a chance to see it, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of it's we're in a unique venue. It's playing at the Cutting Room, in New York, off
Great
Broadway,
room.
which is actually a music venue. But that's what I liked about the place because it's kind of like it has that nightclub atmosphere. So it's a part theater, part nightclub. But there's a good side and a bad side to that. And the bad side is it also still functions as a nightclub on certain nights and stuff. So we have a very erratic schedule there, and it moves all over the place. But people have discovered the play. That's why, like I said, tonight we got a packed house there. But it's not on a traditional kind of theater schedule. Certainly not a Broadway schedule. Off Broadway tends to be a little bit more liberal about how they do their shows anyway. So we kind of have to play it by ear. There's a chance that we'll extend it there. There's a chance we could even move it to a different venue. But the response has been tremendous. I'm just I'm thrilled by that. And so we'll just have to see. We just have to kind of take it as it goes.
Yeah.
But the audience has been growing every week, and Ronnie's just doing a phenomenal job, and I'm just very happy with it.
I can't wait. You know what? I wish I would have known sooner, but I'm definitely going to check it out. I'm going to try and get there by the end of the year. We'll see what happens. Now,
Okay.
Joe, besides you're directing the play and producing the play, and you got Criminal Minds. Is there anything else that you're working on that we should be on the lookout
Well,
for?
yeah, I mean, there's a couple other things. I mean, I've got a couple of things on the Outdoor Channel. I mean, I've been doing this one-show gun stories for the last 8 years on the Outdoor Channel, which we trace historical firearms, which is kind of
Love
a
it.
niche kind of thing. But it's kind of interesting because we do everything from, I've shot everything from blunderbusses that the pirates use to 50 caliber stuff that that the military uses today and everything in between, the guns of General Custer,
Oh, wow.
things like that have historical value. And then my assistant for the last 18 plus years, my assistant Dan Ram came up with a show called Hollywood Weapons. That's a big hit now on the Outdoor Channel. It's
Love
also
it.
on Netflix, and what we do is it's called Hollywood Weapons. And it's what we do is it's kind of like MythBusters on steroids. In other words, they take famous scenes from, or even not so famous scenes from television shows, movies, whatever, and can it really be done? So like could like from Die Hard, could the guy really swing on the thing and crash through a window and shooting things? Or from Tom Selleck in Quigley Down Under, could you really hit a bucket that's on a hill 1,000 yards away? And we got this guy Terry Shafford, who's a former Green Beret,
Yes.
medic, paratrooper. He did everything in military. He's the host, and then he has these two sidekicks. One who's an expert, in firearms and things that blow up. We have guys, the guys from Criminal Minds, some of our tech people that are used to special effects guys. And then he has this other sidekick, Pompeo, who's kind of, so it's like there's comedy. It's a really funny show. So I'm really proud of Hollywood Weapons, which I co-produce my company.
I love it,
And
Joe.
we've got that, and so we stay busy. We try to stay busy around here.
I love Hollywood Weapons. We've actually had Terry on the show, and he was a phenomenal guest.
Oh, so exactly.
Yeah.
Terry's, he's something. And,
Him and his
then
leather
Dan's got a
pants.
new show called Booger Bottom that's going to be coming out that's got to do with this family down in Georgia. Anyway, we always try to have fun. We try to find topics that we like.
Joe, did you ever dispel the rumor with the Jaws, with the oxygen tank? I know they think they did that.
Yeah, we did an episode about that. But yeah, we actually had this shark, fake shark made, and we put Terry on a thing like and he laid out just the same way Roy Scheider did with the rifle and blah blah blah. What we found out is that it will work if the right stuff is in the tank. If you actually shoot a oxygen thing, no, it's not going to blow up like that. But you can make it happen if let's say the tank is filled with something else. And Terry did make the shot, and it did blow up the shark.
Oh, wow.
We found out that actually most of the stuff does work. I was surprised myself to see that, but more than half of the stuff you see in the movies and TV show, under the right conditions, yeah, you can actually make that happen.
Yeah, some of it's true, and some of it's the magic of Hollywood, but that's the
Yeah,
beauty
exactly.
of it. I think I had made a suggestion to Terry that I wanted him to do the scene from Lethal Weapon 3 where they shoot with the Teflon bullets through the bulldozer.
Oh yeah, and I don't know if we ever did that one. I know we did the thing from this one. I forget the name of the movie where the girl's got these two machine guns and she's standing on a second floor and she shoots the guns in a circle and then they creates that drops down through the hole. Found that quite didn't work, but almost worked. But a lot of the stuff actually really did work.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Continued success, Joe. I thank you. We took a lot of your time, and I appreciate it. Always making time for us. Good luck.
No, it's a lot of fun. Thanks for the interest, and thanks for all the talk about the military, because it's nice to talk about stuff that has that kind of importance. And so I appreciate where you guys are, where your head's at, you men and women over there. So thank you.
Thank you.
And like I always told you, you're a friend of the show anytime you need us, and I wanted to wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas,
And a
Happy New Year.
Year.
And
Great, thanks so much. Same to you guys.
looking forward to seeing you on the new season. God bless.
All righty, take care.
Take care. Joe Mantegna,
Right.
give him a round of applause.
Bye.
All right, we're going to take a short break. We're going to come back at 9 o'clock with Brian Tishy. But before that, we have Cal Schwartz, we have Sal Angeletti, Dave Hodge, and Tired Keller. Don't go nowhere. This is the Animal House Radio Show.
Peekaboo. Peekaboo. Smile.
I love anybody that
Smile,
quotes me.
buddy. Come on. Smile. Oh, honey. He's still not smiling.
Maybe he's not a smiler.
Yeah. Maybe he's just not a happy baby.
Maybe he's just being a boy. You know how boys are.
Or maybe he's teething. Oh, poor baby. I think his gums hurt.
Maybe he's just tired.
Or maybe his tummy hurts. He didn't eat that much.
Maybe he's not ticklish.
You think maybe he's scared of the dog?
Maybe he'll outgrow it. Maybe it's a phase. Maybe he just doesn't like smiling.
Maybe he has autism, and we can definitely do something to help.
Maybe is all you need to find out more about autism. No big, joyful smiles by 6 months is one early sign. Learn the others at autismspeaks.org/signs or see a doctor today for an autism screening. The sooner it's diagnosed, the better. And it can make a lifetime of difference. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Okay, men, this is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. It's up to you. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna go grocery shopping, cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Don't you forget about the pharmacy. I know you won't, because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. This is your time to show the world, your family, and yourself that you're tougher than tough. Now go out there and be the best caregiver this world has ever seen. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
When is the best time to talk to your family about staying in touch during a disaster? When hurricane winds are gusting? When floodwaters reach your door? Or a blizzard blocks all the roads? Or is the best time, perhaps, today? During a disaster, you may not be able to stay in touch with your family or friends as easily as you think. Make your emergency plan today. Go to nyc.gov/readyny or call 311. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by New York City Emergency Management and the Ad Council.
In the wake of a disaster, what one thing can you send that will help people the most? A blanket, a tent, a sandbag, a doctor. Actually, if you send a monetary donation, you send all these things. Even a small donation can make a big impact and can quickly become exactly what people affected by disaster need most.
In the wake of a hurricane, your monetary donation can make a huge difference to those in need. To donate, visit supporthurricanerelief.org. That's supporthurricanerelief.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
They say that car crashes happen in slow motion. The reality is that crashes happen fast. There's no time to think and no time to check if your child is in the right car seat. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your kids in the right seat for their age and size? Don't think you know. Know you know. Get more info at safercar.gov/the-right-seat. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Hi, we're the Goo Goo Dolls. We're fortunate that our daughters have what they need to grow and learn. But that isn't the case for nearly 13 million kids in the U.S. that struggle with hunger.
Childhood hunger is a heartbreaking reality that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and provides it to families and children in need.
You can help kids in need in your community by visiting feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
It only takes a minute to find out if you may have prediabetes, and you can do it at doihaveprediabetes.org. But you're probably not going to. Nope. I'm sure you've got a perfectly good excuse. Kids, work. I get it. You're busy. So what better time than now? Let's begin. Raise one finger if you're a man. Ladies, none yet. Oh, count in your head if you're driving. Now, 3 more fingers for everyone over 60, 2 over 50, 1 over 40, 1 more if you're not physically active, another finger if anyone in your family has type 2 diabetes, another if you've got high blood pressure. If you're overweight, raise another finger, 2 if you're very overweight, and 3 if you're really overweight. You've just taken the world's first audio prediabetes test. And if you're holding up 5 or more fingers, visit doihaveprediabetes.org or talk to your doctor. There's no excuse because prediabetes can be reversed.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its pre-diabetes awareness partners.
Hey everybody, Rachel Ray here. Nothing brings a bigger smile to my face than cooking up a big meal for the whole family and lots of friends. But there's not enough room at my table for the 17 million kids in our country who struggle with hunger. That's why the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks collects surplus food to give hope to hungry kids. But they can't do it without your help. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
You look nice. How was work?
Well, it was fourth period, civics.
The kids were giving me the third degree. Was a UFO seen hovering over Washington, D.C.? Was a fisherman attacked by a 320-pound shrimp? They'd been bitten by the fake news bug, all right, and it was holding on like a driver's ed student to a steering wheel. How was I gonna get a bunch of wide-eyed kids to wise up about what they see on the internet? Then it hit me, like a dodgeball on field day. The name of the game was News Snoops. Each student got an article and 2 minutes to decide if it was credible or a fake. They were able to use fact-checking sites to get the cold, hard truth. Now the little hotshots are even teaching their gullible grannies a thing or two about phony news. But how was your day?
Pretty good. I got a new title today. Office Birthday Party Planner.
Oh, fun.
Teachers just have better work stories. If you want a creative job worth talking about, head to teachdfw.org. Brought to you by Teach and the Ad Council.
All right, we are back here on the Animal House Radio Show.
Woo! Don't say anything dirty.
Yes.
Make sure you use antibacterial.
Pig and mud.
I thought that.
I know his routines like the back.
I wanted everybody's thoughts on the interview with Joe Mantegna.
Hello. I was going to ask him about Godfather 3, but I didn't want to.
Why didn't you say that? I encourage people to ask questions. You know what?
I am actually.
All right, get him on the line.
Yeah, get him back on the line.
Get him back on the line.
But
Come over here now.
We have in-studio guest Sal Angeletti, who has a show here on Hamilton Radio called Taker 2 Takes Over New Jersey.
That's right.
And Cal Schwartz, who's a journalist and has his own TV show called NJ Discover Live. And Cal, what did you think of the interview?
It was poignant and heartfelt and warm, and we engaged him, and he engaged us.
Did you like it?
It was very nice.
Yeah, by the way, I was just bowled over. And for me, I was just so thrilled for obvious reasons to even be here and get a chance to.
Well, you're always welcome.
Thank you.
That's the second longest running cop show.
So you
isn't
had
it?
a story to tell us about the richest Italian in the world?
Yes. I had an epiphany sitting here, realizing that on my left and on my right and on my right, I have to leave you two guys out, Italiano.
Right.
What's going on here?
So
Schwartz is Italian, isn't it?
Well, you know what? And that's that's a good segue, because I'm not, but probably by proxy and by absorption and assimilation.
Injection?
I call it injection.
Were you in prison?
That was a Brooklyn thing. We used to say HBI. What the hell's that? Hot beef injection.
And grappa, all these things, I probably am, and the fact, and here we go, getting right down to cutting to the chase, is the fact that I worked for 25 years closely with the richest Italian in the world.
Wow.
And it's not you, Carlo.
Ask him if he'd like to sponsor the show.
Who is it?
His name is Leonardo Del Vecchio, and his
That
son
sounds
Claudio, and they own Luxottica, and Lens Crafters, and Pearl, and
wow.
Sunglass Hut, and Ray-Ban.
The Italian billionaire.
Yeah, he's worth $35 billion, give or take.
Oh, wow.
That likes to dance on his
But
boat.
I mean, really closely
I
I
like him.
worked with the son, and a lot of who I am today, and what I am, and what I learn, and how I present myself, and how I talk and act and think, is because of hanging around the Del Vecchio family for 25 years.
Oh, wow.
Right.
So I would say that made you wiser.
I mean, if a guy has $35 billion, does he walk around with money in his pocket, or he just signs for everything?
Well, a lot of times when I was in Italy, we went. There's a lot of credit cards that float around and signing, and
I was going to say, how do you even? I wouldn't even know what to do with $35 billion.
It's incomprehensible.
Spend it. Yeah, well, it'd be like Brewster's Million. You have to spend it within a month, or else I forfeit it. But that's great. I mean, and I'm actually grateful for Sal and Cal and our buddy.
Sal and Cal. It's like a nurse.
Sal and Cal. That's a new. That's a new.
We're gonna
show.
spin off a new show, the
Yeah.
Sal and Cal
This
show.
is a Sal and
Right?
Cal hour.
Sal and Cal.
Muscle Parmesan.
And I apologize for not mentioning this sooner. I want to give a shout out to Penny Marshall and her family.
Yes,
who was,
I was thinking about
I
that.
got fortunate enough to work with her on a movie with her brother Gary, and she couldn't be more sweeter to me and very nice with their accent and talking to Gary Marshall about how he was a Ravens fan and yeah, exactly, boo. But go Steelers! We finally won a game this week.
That's because I made you that cool
So
shirt.
did she?
Yeah.
She did Laverne
See
and
the
Shirley after or before the Odd Couple?
After the
After
Odd
the Odd
Couple.
Couple.
Odd Couple was first. That was her brother Gary was like a producer on that show.
He produced a lot of shows.
Yeah, he started early. But
Yeah.
you have no idea what they did. She was I didn't even know this. She was the first woman director in Hollywood. I didn't know that. I know Lucille Ball was the first studio executive, female.
Lucille Ball was actually in a Marx Brothers movie back in the day.
Yeah, I used to see her in a lot of
Yeah.
Three Stooges movies too,
Yeah.
like in those little shorts. But yeah, and I want to rest in peace to her, and definitely gone way too soon. It's a shame that people. And I sent Cindy Williams a text message today, and she thanked me for that.
She was sweet.
Yeah,
She was really sweet.
very nice. And
We'll never see any of those shows ever around again.
No.
yeah, they're not gonna. They don't make them like that, unfortunately. They really don't.
That's why I'm saying his show, and I believe Law and Order SVU is the other longest running cop show on TV.
Law and Order is good, but it's the same shit every week.
It's changed because now she's the captain, I guess now.
Right.
She's a lieutenant, yeah.
And Chris was supposed to return, but I guess doing the Superman movies and being a lot of those actors now being in Marvel and DC movies are really getting paid well. So
Let me tell you something. I was an extra on Law and Order for quite a few times, and I happened to be on a set where Chris Maloney was, and he is not a nice person.
Really?
He got a girl. He got a girl fired because it was her first time on the show. A first time doing anything, and you're not supposed to bother them for autographs, which I understand, but she was a little starstruck, and he had her taken off the set. You couldn't have just said...
They also tell you that when you get there, though.
Yeah, I know. And she
you can't
was
pay
just...
attention to directions.
Yeah.
That's any job. They'll get rid of you.
Penny Marshall's first role was on The Odd Couple. That's correct. She was Myrna Turner. She was Oscar's
Myrna
secretary. And it's funny because Gary Marshall played her brother, Werner Turner. It's just funny.
Now, I know you guys are saying that they don't make things like they used to make. But if they did, would our young generation appreciate the humor from the past?
I believe so, because the honeymooners right now is like the biggest thing everybody
It's timeless.
Funny is funny.
Timeless.
Funny is
Right.
funny.
Yeah.
It's funny is universal.
See, the thing, know what the problem that a lot of them are trying to, the problem that a lot of newer shows are having right now?
They're trying to copy off the old ones.
Coming up with new content?
Even worse. No. They're trying so hard to prove that they're more diverse than the next show instead of trying to be a funny sitcom.
Right.
You know, like I like the Roseanne Connor reboot thing. Like I've been enjoying that. When Roseanne came back with that, there was really good writing on the show. I enjoyed the writing. It was written in that old school way. Not as much now, but it's still written pretty
With
good.
the Connors,
with the Connors, and I'm still watching it. It's still pretty good. You know, I'm sucked in more so because I'm reminiscing. I think still. Like if I gave it a fresh look, as you know, I wasn't starstruck, you know, like, so to speak. To like, oh wow, I remember this show, I like it. Let me watch it a little more. It's stuck on my DVR. So if they do something that pisses me off, it's easy to just click erase.
I'm getting a kick out of The Neighborhood.
But no, I'm saying, but with that show, and a lot of other shows,
Cedric, yeah,
they have to have you know the transgendered 8-year-old and
right.
You know,
45% of the cast is lesbian. Or
whatever happened to Vicky?
You
A
know,
small
like-
wonder. Just make it a robot.
Well, they tried to do The Odd Couple all over again, and it, didn't.
Well, see,
it
they-
doesn't
you know
work. There's certain things you shouldn't touch anymore.
You're
Just
not
like-
You know what the bigger problem with that is, though? Both of them were Felixes in real life.
That's true.
Right, exactly.
Oh, I got what you're saying.
You
So
know what I
he
mean?
really couldn't.
It's so hard for him to go so far outside of his field like that, so to speak.
The funny thing about it, The Odd Couple was a great sitcom, and everybody knows it, but it never really did that well in the ratings. It was after it went off the air that it got really popular because it got syndicated. What I was saying is, there's like Gisela likes The Neighborhood. It's a funny show. It doesn't blow me away. It doesn't have that.
I think it's pretty funny, and it's not done in like it's not done in.
No, it's funny. The writing is great, but it's like when you watch Laverne and Shirley, it had something. I don't know if it's just maybe it's me because I'm biased because that's the
Well,
era I
Happy
grew
Days
up.
spun off a lot of shows. It
You
was
know?
Jack,
Yeah, Happy
Mork
Days
and
was
Mindy.
Like I think.
Joni and Chachi.
Now here,
Joni was
you're,
Chachi, yeah.
you're gonna think I'm crazy. I think
Those are the best 3 episodes ever.
You're gonna call me crazy, but I think Frasier was a lot more funnier than Cheers, and that was a spin-off of
See,
Cheers.
I don't really think Frasier was that funny.
Frasier,
in my opinion.
And
Frasier was a highbrow funny. It's a different type of funny.
It was educational humor.
But it was one of those things where the whole cast was funny. It wasn't just like
No,
one or two.
it was the ensemble they had for that cast was amazing.
Yes.
They worked well together on everything.
But it's like The Big Bang Theory. If you're not
Love that show. That the writing is
at
brilliant.
a certain level, you're not going to get the humor.
But you know what? It's one of those shows that every character is a character. It's
Yes.
not like
they're not parodies of characters.
Right, exactly,
That's
yes.
the problem.
Well, you
and
know,
the problem is a lot of these shows nowadays they're writing them to be parodies of what the character is supposed to be. Like they tried doing that with All in the Family, and they tried making him a parody of a character. Except he was so endearing to so many people that just blew them the wrong way. They were not expecting
And
that
they
to
don't
happen.
even show the episode where she passes anymore.
No.
You won't find that on TV anymore.
No, that's a sad thing. I didn't even know that, and I was a big fan of all of it. That they killed Edith off. I
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
know that.
She wanted to leave. And
Because she was not hungry,
They wrote
Archie.
her off.
My big thing now is that, and Dave knows. I have a pet peeve about this. Why are they rebooting everything? You don't have
That's why
nothing.
they don't want to pay new writers.
It's
It's cheaper to pay writers to not produce their new material, and then have your people that are established to keep making the money there.
No,
I
like
I-
you were saying about Netflix before. Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's okay.
There's a lot of shows or movies just going right there and not even hitting the TV.
Right, but that's the
anymore.
platform that everybody
Now
likes.
I'm a big Marvel Universe fan, and all these like Daredevil and all. Now they're canceling all these shows and they're big hits, and now you want to cancel everything.
Right, they get you interested, and then they pull the rug out from
Now,
under
I
you.
like 911 on Channel 5.
You see, I never got into that.
Great writing.
I
I think Angela Bassett is.
Well, you know what was
producer on it.
interesting? I wanted to
Yeah.
address, like with All in the Family and The Odd Couple. Odd Couple got more popular after it went off the air. Nowadays, they would just cancel it, and it wouldn't even have a chance to get into syndication.
Right, nowadays, yeah, it was like, forget it.
All in the Family, they nurtured that show. It didn't do well its first year. It would have been canceled.
Yeah,
You know?
a lot of them shows that were so great were only on 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Like the Munsters, Leave It
Batman.
to Beaver.
Yeah.
They didn't
Batman
have
wasn't on that long either.
Batman,
was-
Star Trek.
Right, they didn't
Star
have
Trek,
Star
yeah.
Trek did inherently bad with the ratings.
Yeah.
It was only after it went off the air that it blew up. It's weird. Like the Munsters was a 2-year show, and now those are shows.
Adam's Family.
They're in 100 different
Yeah.
countries around the
Yeah.
world.
Lost in Space was another good one.
Speaking of reboots, I like, and Gisela loves the show. I love the way they did with
Dear
Hawaii
boy.
5-0.
I love Hawaii 5-0.
Magnum PI.
Yeah, Magnum PI.
No mustache. Come on.
You know,
It's not even that. I just
Yeah,
feel like
tickles.
even the actors itself, like Tom Selleck, he was probably young then, but like he didn't
And
look
hot.
it. Now he looks like a little teenager trying to play a Magnum. I don't know. I just
Yeah,
he doesn't
just
fit the
doesn't-
role.
He's a great actor, Jay Hernandez.
Maybe the writing was
Yeah,
good.
they
but
They
were
maybe
tried to
the
redo
different
Knight
actor, I
Rider
don't
one
know.
time.
I think they were supposed to. I'm
I
not
don't
sure.
know.
if
They
did.
tried maybe one show. The last did it was a different kind of.
The other thing
newer
I didn't like,
Pontiac or
MacGyver.
something.
MacGyver's not too bad. He's
reboot
growing
was
on me,
terrible.
but again, I feel like he's too young for the role.
Yeah, he doesn't.
I
have
just
the-
don't think, even though the writing is good, I think.
But see,
Mac-
that goes
it-
back to the
yeah.
whole thing. They're trying to make the new show, but cast somebody so young that hopefully he hits it.
No, I just can't.
You want to
see
suck
it.
in that female audience.
You know what they're doing is
not
they're
sucking
taking
me
the
in.
core of the original show and they're trying to modernize it, and it's not going to work like that.
Right, you're supposed to do the show the way it's supposed to be.
Like
You gotta redo it.
Gotham on Channel 5, which happens to be really good.
That's not bad.
And it's
I-
the-
I'm a
January.
big
This is the
fan.
final season, and
Yeah, my
they're
friend
going
Frank
so
is very
fast forward
upset
now,
about
where
that.
he's going to become Batman in the final thing. But it was taken right out of the comic, and that's why I like some of the Marvel movies.
Right.
They're biting
They-
right out of the comic book.
Well, they take
Well,
it
that's why the
right-
Marvel ones
Yeah.
are being successful because they're following what was actually happening in the
DC
comic.
and
Unlike
DC's gotta
DC, they're
catch
just
up,
saying,
yeah.
we're just going to make Superman an alien.
You know what's funny, Dave? When I see all these movies being made and they were from comics, growing up reading them, I know what's going to happen, and it's verbatim. But now they transcended it to the big screen, and it's amazing.
But not all. But like, Marvel has done that. DC has not.
Aquaman. Well, Wonder Woman might have saved it. the franchise, but now Aquaman, I heard, got a great write-up, so I got to see that tomorrow night.
Now, what do you think about a lot of the new movies not even
Like the new
trying to get onto the network, just going straight to YouTube or Netflix? What do you think about that?
That's the
That's the wave of the future.
Like the Fuller House. And,
that's the platform that everybody's watching it at. So look at what happened
Cobra
with the
Kai,
Cobra Kai.
which I
now,
love.
supposedly Disney's coming out with their own streaming thing because they're taking all the Marvel stuff off of Netflix and all that. Because
that's why they're doing it. They want everybody to subscribe
that's why
to
the
them.
new Star Trek show. You got to have CBS whatever to watch Star Trek Discovery, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Now they're remaking Scarface, really, with Leonardo DiCaprio. Come on.
Are they still doing
really?
it or no?
I don't know.
Well, they've been talking about it,
that
but
one
I don't
too.
know if they're
because
going
they
to
were also going to make him a black guy.
No, but I think they got somebody. Maurice Toussaint, Angel just posted it, but the remake is a go. But now, I think it was supposed to be Leonardo DiCaprio. Now it's somebody else. Leave it alone.
Leave.
At least just make a different movie, same concept. Don't call it Scarface. Make a new movie.
That'd be trying to
It's not going to go anywhere because it's not Scarface.
That's like trying to remake Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah, but
you
gotta
can't go
remember
down
Scarface.
86th Street anymore.
No. Well, actually, John Travolta just did. No.
Well, yeah, he did come back during the summer for the 40th anniversary. He
That's
went into
right.
Lenny's Pizzeria.
That
They
was
closed
right.
the whole area down.
Oh my goodness, they made a big parade out of that one. But all right,
Not
let's,
as big as the show he put on, Dancing with 50 Cent in Paris.
we're gonna get
Go ahead. Let's
our
go around
inquiring mind questions. I already asked Joe Mantegna, which he answered was his mother. So the question is, who had the biggest impact on the person that you've become? So we're
My
gonna start
grandmother.
with Steve. Sorry.
Oh, that's not fair. Because it's going to sound like I'm copying Joe.
No, but that's
it'd be my
okay.
mother.
All right.
It'd be my mother. She got me hooked on her record collection when I was like 4 years
I
old.
thought you were going to say heroin. No.
No, man. I'd be playing those 45s as young
Your
as
mother
4
was
years
a
old.
metalhead?
Oh, yeah.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Chuck
She
Berry,
hasn't
Buddy
missed a
Holly,
concert.
Rock
all
and
that
roll.
stuff. Dwayne Eddy.
Oh, that was rock and roll, sure.
It was rock and roll, and that's what got me into it. And of course, as time went by, she now knows all the lyrics to Alice Cooper's
Did she like
Killer
Alice
album.
Cooper, or
You
was
know?
that your own discovery?
That was my discovery.
Yeah.
It was Alice was big in my town. My town, Kearney, in Jersey, is a strange place. It's a big southern rock town, and Alice Cooper.
And Soccer Town.
Yeah.
And
USA.
soccer. Oh yeah, I went to school with all those guys.
Hello.
All right, everybody. Brian, is that you?
Thanks, Ruben.
I think it's Brian Tishy, but is that? It's Brian.
He heard Ruben's voice and got scared.
Hey, man, would you like to meet me in the bathroom?
Excuse me, sir. Do I get 2 for 1?
Hello. I went to a class
whack now-
from Ruin Who.
And if you act now, we'll
I'm
send
really
one for
good at it
free.
You
now.
got him up, Ruben?
Okay.
Put him through. Is he up?
I hear him talking.
Okay, we just lost. All right.
All right, Brian. Brian.
Hello.
Hey.
Oh, yeah.
All right, everybody. Joining us now live on the phone is a good friend of the show. He's a talented musician, and he's calling up to tell everybody, Merry Tishmas. Please welcome the wonderful Mr. Brian Tishy.
Hey guys,
Hey.
happy holidays, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Brian, thank you so much. I enjoyed talking to you last year, and I loved, everybody raved about it when we posted it. The Santa Claus is coming to town. I've never heard a guitar make sounds like that in my life. I loved it, and now you've even outdone yourself this year with your new single off of the Merry Tishmas album called "You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch," and once again you hit another home run.
Well, thank you very much. That's very kind of you, being mainly a drummer and all.
Great guitar.
Great guitar.
But
Well, thanks. Yeah. That Santa Claus coming to town. That was all about the talk box, and I hadn't busted it out in a long time. And after I did that track, I was like, I should go back and redo talk box at every song. I love it. I love that thing.
Yeah, it's amazing. I was blown away by it, and I got a great response. Now, segueing into what you said, Brian, why wouldn't you do a remake of The Little Drummer Boy?
That's on there. It is. It's one of the tracks on there.
Oh, it is? Okay.
That's the only track. Yeah, it features my buddy Derek Sherinian, keyboard player extraordinaire in the Sons of Apollo now. Used to be in Dream Theater and Billy Idol and all that. And Joe Bonamassa, he's been doing it forever. But he's great. He came and actually made the Little Drummer Boy song a lot better. So yeah, it was. I was kind of like sitting there, it's all right. But then after he got finished with his stuff, it doubled it up and made it better.
Yeah, and now Brian, the album is wonderful. What was the motivation behind? You always wanted to do something holiday related, or?
Yeah, I look at it now and I go, what was I thinking to take on doing a whole record in my, Christmas record in my spare time? But it was, I guess it was, ending a tour in Europe. We were touring around Europe and stuff, and it's middle of December, and I'm just walking around somewhere in Germany, and all the, every city you're in, there's Christmas stuff going on, and it just, I just kind of thought of it just like, oh man, that would be pretty easy if I took a bunch of my favorite Christmas songs and just did an instrumental record and had some fun playing guitar on it. And I wanted to make it sound, not like heavy metal Christmas or anything like that. I just wanted to sound kind of like have a variety of different guitar tones, tipping the hat to my favorite guitar players, whether it's Brian May or Richie Blackmore or Frampton and, started Jeff Beck and stuff. And I just figured, it'd be fun to do and something I could always, take out and promote every year. And there it is,
Right. Brian, now for the listeners who were first learning of you, which I don't see how anybody can not know of you, you've been with so many bands. Give us some background on how it all started for you.
Oh man, how did it all started? It all started when I was a little kid, and it all started with Kiss and Peter Criss.
Yeah.
That was the first band I got into. I mean, you're talking, 76 or something like that. Kiss is like the biggest thing ever, going on around that time.
Absolutely.
And I just started learning by playing along the Kiss records, and it was kind of natural, and I kind of always knew I was a drummer. It was that. But I forgot about this. I knew there was something. I remembered this recently, and mostly when I'm asked anything about, how'd you start? When did it all start? How'd you know you were a drummer or whatever? Before I even was playing drums, my parents were paving our driveway, so the guys doing the work had all these, buckets of whatever, oil or whatever, whatever, the pavement stuff. There was all these buckets there, but there were different amounts in the buckets. And I remember sitting on one of them and putting like 4 of them around me and grabbing a branch and cutting it, breaking it in 2. And I just started playing the buckets out in my, side yard or whatever. And that was before, before any drum sets or anything. And it was already like, so I'm thinking about it, like, that's not a normal thing. You don't look at buckets next to your driveway and people are repaving your driveway, and you sit down and make them into a little drum set. But I guess that was my version of pots and pans,
Wow,
very cool.
You had the vision to see that. Steve, you had a question?
Yeah. What professionally? I mean, we all started with Kiss. I started with Kiss as well. I'm Steve Keller, by the way. What was your first professional gig? Was that Billy Idol, or does it go further back?
It goes way further back. It goes to like 1989. It's kind of, well, it's not funny. It's interesting. I was in Berklee College of Music, and here and there, friends of mine, you'd hear, this guy got a gig with this jazz guitar player in New York, or this guy got this gig. And here you are in a music college, you don't know anything about the real world of the music business. And so one of my buddies joined this band. Berkeley's in Boston, and I'm from New Jersey. So one of my buddies, bass player, who currently now his name is John DeServio, he plays bass in Black Label Society with Zach Wilde. And JD and I went to Berkeley together. He left Berkeley in '89 to go play with a female singer in Jersey that was taken off or getting, had a record about to come out and all this stuff. So he got the gig, and then he calls me a few months later. I'm in Berkeley in the summer, and he's like, "Hey, we need a drummer." And he goes, "You got to learn these songs, man. I'll get you an audition in New York." And I'm like, "Wow, this is like the big time. She's got a record coming out. The video's going to be out on TV. They're touring." And at the time, Extreme was huge in Boston, and Extreme's record just came out. And there's, this artist was, this singer was, touring with Extreme. So I was like, "That's the big time, man." So that was my first audition, which I got. And the artist, it was a singer named Jody Bon Jovi, and it was John's cousin, and she spells her name the correct way, that the family spells Bon Jovi. And so that was my first experience in the business. I went down to New York, auditioned, got the gig. I was 20 years old, and did some touring with her. And the thing kind of fell apart a few months later or whatever. But it was still the real world of auditioning and getting out on tour and doing all that stuff. And her, she was on TV a little bit, had a record out, but it didn't go very far or whatever. And from there, through people I knew, through meeting, that's what happens, right? You meet one person, somebody else meets you. This guy works at a label. That's kind of, it's always word of mouth stuff. And I auditioned for this singer, Randy Jackson. Randy is this lead singer of the band Zebra. I'm sure you guys all know Zebra, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I auditioned for Randy, and he had a deal on Atlantic Records. I did the record, and that kind of that also fell apart. Maybe it has something to do with me. I get in a band and it all falls apart.
I don't think so. You've been in so many different ensembles.
Yeah, but that was a long. That was back a while ago, 89, 90. And then in 91, I went out with started touring with guitar player Vinnie Moore. Vinnie's been in UFO. He's in UFO, and he was a solo artist then, kind of doing he's an amazing virtuoso guitar player, and it was instrumental stuff. And he had a record out, and that was actually great because we just started touring the U.S. and in vans or whatever, and hitting every club in every city, and wound up at the end of the year being able to open up for Rush for 2 weeks, which brought us back to the East Coast, and we actually played a couple nights at Madison Square Garden, Philly Spectrum, like 10 arenas, and it was like, those are my heroes, Rush. So to bring my drum set from high school, because at that time I didn't have an endorsement, I was still using my high school drums, and they were Tamas, which Neil Peart used Tamas, and that's why I got those drums in high school. So it was pretty amazing, but back then to be able to, open up for my heroes and stuff, especially at Madison Square Garden, which is where I saw Kiss with my dad when I was like 11 years old. So and at that, even funnier is at that same concert, we didn't know it, but Bumblefoot, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, who's in Guns N' Roses now in Sons of Apollo, he was at that same show, as was Eddie Trunk. Now none of us knew each other, but there we all were watching Kiss as kids.
Yeah, excellent. What tour was that? Was that Dynasty or?
Yeah, 79, the Dynasty tour.
I was there as well.
Yeah. That was my first Kiss concert.
I say I was there. New England opened the show.
Do you know that?
Yeah.
That wasn't Peter Criss on the Dynasty album.
No, that was Anton Fig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know that. He did that in Unmasked.
Yeah, it was Anton on most of that, and I wonder about the song that Peter sang on, which was
Dirty Living.
Oh, jeez.
Was that Dirty
song?
Living? I think.
Yeah, I think that was right.
Yeah, Dirty Living. So
Yeah.
maybe it's Peter on Dirty Living.
Yeah, I think that was the only one. But that's very cool. Yeah, we were all at that show, and I actually liked New England too.
Yeah.
Well, man, I remember this. This was one of the heaviest moments of my life. As a 11-year-old kid, walking into Madison Square Garden, never had been to an arena concert because I'm 11, and I walk in, and we're up in the nosebleeds. It didn't matter. I'm in an arena about to see Kiss, and I walk in, and I hear this music. Before we get into the arena, we're walking in the hallways, and I'm like, this sounds like a live record, man. It sounds like all I know is Kiss Alive. It sounds like a live record. And I walk in, and there's a band on the stage, which was New England, and I'm watching the drummer hit his drums, and they just sounded so massive. And just to be a drummer, a kid who only knows those sounds from listening to records, to witness it right in your face was so heavy. And that's the main thing I remember from New England was just, that's the sound of a rock arena concert. That just blew me away. And then, of course, Kiss came on, and I just couldn't believe I was in the same room as Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, Ace Frehley, Peter Criss.
I agree. I remember being about halfway through the arena, and the flames. I mean, it was hot. It was hot up in the rafters. It was amazing.
They were the first. To me, Kiss was the first band to really put a lot of production value into their shows, where it was like with the pyrotechnics and all that. And Brian, let me ask you, you were with Whitesnake, Foreigner, Billy Idol. Did you have a personal favorite of one of the bands that you toured with or worked with?
No, because I had the good fortune of playing in bands with where all the people, all the guys, the organization and the band themselves are all cool. The music I grew up listening to, and so to pick a favorite, they all have their different things, because like Foreigner, I mean, I grew up on that music. I learned certain things on the drums from those records, and Billy Idol is just such a great boss, and I became his writing partner for years, and you know, which most of what we did turned into his comeback record, and that was just a whole other world. That's a whole other side of. That's not even the drummer side. You're going to the songwriting, and you know, that was a really great opportunity, and he was so cool. You know, I mean, I know tons of stories of what it's like to be involved with, you know, writing music with established artists or, you know, big selling artists. And, you know, some people can say, hey, you know, you're lucky to be, you know, having anything to do with me songwriting, you know, so you're barely going to get, you know, any publishing or any compensation, you know, you're just be happy to be here. And with Billy, he was just like, hey, man, we go into a room and write a song. It's just 50-50, whatever happens. And I was like, that's just so cool. He made it so easy. Like, it just cut the bullshit out and get right to the fact that, hey, if we're having a good time making music, then that's the main issue there. Everything else will fall into place, you know. And you know, Whitesnake was great. You know, Coverdale's a legend, and it's you know, it's an honor to play in a band following in the footsteps of drummers I grew up on, legendary drummers like Ian Pace and Cozy Powell and Tommy Aldridge and stuff like that. And then there was, you know, I did a summer with Ozzy on the Ozfest 2000, and you know, that's probably the high point because Ozfest was the biggest, like, you know, metal festival, rock fest going, and Ozzy's, you know, true, you know, just a legend, and I grew up on all that music, all the Sabbath and the original Ozzy solo stuff. So just to be up on stage with him and get a chance to experience that and play those songs, whether it's War Pigs or you know, Crazy Train or whatever, it's just, you know, that's just real heavy duty. So it's all cool, man. I don't have a favorite, you know. I just hope I hope to continue doing what I've been doing and do it better and more of it, you know.
Yeah, I had the pleasure, Brian, to see you a few years ago over the summer during your stint with Whitesnake, and I mean, I was blown away by the whole show. I actually was there. I was actually there with Don Jamieson, and your solo, your drum solo, was just it still blows me away to this day when I watch the video of it.
Oh well, thank you very much. Was this down at outside the Stone Pony show?
Yes, sir. It was.
So that was, yeah, wasn't it Whitesnake, Tesla, and Sebastian Bach?
Yes.
Yeah, that was a fun night. A lot of like high school friends came down to that. You know, they had the whole parking lot next to the Stone Pony was, you know, like a, you know, set up kind of, you know, I don't know how many people were there, 3,000, 5,000.
Yeah,
that was.
But
yeah, that was a fun show. I remember hanging with Don afterwards, and if I'm correct, I think Don and no, maybe we don't. I can't remember if it's him or. I thought we might have the same birthday, but I can't remember now. Or it was Jim. I can't remember. But yeah, that was a lot of fun, man. It was.
Are you going to be doing any kind of touring?
Yeah, am I?
Are you going to be touring in the new year or anywhere or doing anything?
Yeah, but it's going to be a little bit of a different year. It's a little interesting, but in Japan, there's a band called the Bees, and the Bees are like they're like Guns N' Roses in Japan. They're like in Japan only, but they'll do like multiple nights at the Tokyo Dome and play stadiums, and they've been huge for like 20 years. And I used to play drums on their records, and there was a couple times they asked me, "Why don't you come over and do the tour?" But you'd have to be in Japan for like 6 months, and I always kind of I never did it, you know. But I did a lot of recording on the records, and every year or two they'd call me, come down, do some recording on their new albums. The last year, or this year actually, the singer and guitar player from the band are doing a new project and asked me to be part of it, which will basically take up my whole summer, you know, like May through September. So I'll be doing a lot of touring, and it'll be cool. It'll be like arenas and all that stuff in Japan, playing every little city in Japan. So yeah, this year I took them up on their offer, and it should be fun because Japan, man, everybody's so nice over there. It's so organized, and they say something and they hold to it. You know, this is the deal. There's no, you know, maybe it's going to change or not. Like it's always real fun and easy to work with everybody over in Japan. So yeah, it'll be a new record, and you know, but prior to that, you know, I got, you know, my time at home before and after that next year, which I'm completely engulfed in right now. These NAMM events I have, the Bonzo Bash and Randy Rhoads Remembered. We're doing that stuff at the end of January at the NAMM convention in or near it, you know, in the same weekend at some venues in the area at the you know, on January 24th, Thursday, January 24th is Bonzo Bash and Randy Rhoads Remember. This celebration events I've been doing for a long time, and we usually kind of do them once a year. And yeah, they're a lot of fun, but they're a lot of work.
Yeah, well, you know, I really appreciate you doing that thing for Randy Rhoads, remember, because he was definitely gone way too soon. And I, you know, Brian, last year we had so much fun talking to you, and you're a great friend of the show. And I always tell Jody, and make sure you tell him that he has an open door anytime you want to come on. And where can people get the Merry Tishmas, on your website and Amazon, or?
Yeah, man, I was going to try, and I got so busy with some other stuff the past couple months, but I mean, drum festivals and just different projects. Like, because I'm not in one, like, band now. I was in the band, the Dead Daisies, the past few years, but I wasn't this year. I split from that, so it kind of opened my door to be able to do anything. I haven't been locked into one thing, so there was a lot of stuff going on the past couple months. So no, the only place you can get it right now is BrianTishy.com. You can just go there and download it, or order the download or the physical CD, and there's some cute festive little Merry Tishmas T-shirts available too. But yeah, so it was kind of it wasn't, the Merry Tishmas record wasn't really meant to be this thing where I'm going to go try and get a big old record deal and make it a huge, put a show around it or anything. It was just more something I did in my free time last year, and did a pledge music, pledge music thing, and it was pretty mellow and laid back. But I wanted to get it out again this year and at least get promote it a bit, and Jody gets it out to the radio and stuff like that, and yeah, so that's happening now. But just go to BrianTishy.com for that, and I got to say thank you for bringing up Randy Rhoads Remember, because when we finish those shows, I always go, wow, that was so much work. It was fun, but I don't know if I want to dig into that again next year. And then when the time comes around, I start going, people start going, are you going to do Bonzo Bash? You can do Randy Rhoads Remembered? And I'm like, I don't know if I want to dig into that, man. It's like I said, it's fun, but it's a lot of work, and it's the holidays, and it gets really busy. But we had one venue, the Yost Theater. We had one night there, and that was our only option at the time. Like back in October, you got to start doing this early.
Yeah.
And we're like, which show do we do? Do we do Randy or do we Bonzo? And my partner and I just couldn't figure out. We saw, it'd be good to do Randy for this, or Bonzo for this, and we said, screw it. Let's just put them both together, man. Let's do Randy first because it's a shorter show and it's a little more contained. You're playing all the songs off of Blizzard and Diary, and each song a different guitar player comes up. But I'm on drums all night with Rudy Sarzo on bass, which is always awesome, because Rudy was a part of that history. I mean, a huge part of that. He lived it. That was him. So it's always fun to do that. And then we're gonna take a little break, get those drums off stage, put the Bonzo kit up, and go for Bonzo Bash. So it's gonna be a pretty mental night. Get two insane shows in one night. And but I got here's a new thing. This is how crazy this stuff goes. We go, that's all we're gonna do is one show one night. Screw it, we'll do both shows in the same night. Let's do it. Okay, well that's all we're gonna do though. And then this other venue calls us up and goes, hey, we got Saturday night at NAMM Weekend open. You guys interested? And then we go, well, wait, we already are doing the two shows and we're busy. What could we do? So I'm announcing now, because I haven't yet. I think we're putting it on sale and announcing it tonight. It's called, we're doing another show, and it's called If You Want Bon, You Got It. And it's going to be an entire night dedicated to Bon Scott. Of course, you guys know Bon Scott from AC/DC.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I'm the house drummer. My buddy Robbie Crane, who's in Black Star Riders and was in Rat, he's on bass. And we're putting the rest of the band together now, and it's basically we're going to get a bunch of killer singers up, and we're all going to honor Bon Scott all night for a couple hours,
That's amazing. Like I said, continued success, and I thank you for spending a few minutes with us. Before we let you go, Brian, since this is the holidays, do you want to send any message out to our servicemen and women overseas?
Oh yeah, to any of you guys overseas, thank you for everything you do for our country, because without a doubt, we all know it. What other country do you really want to live in? USA is the #1 country, and we all got to be thankful for the people that change their lives to protect this country and keep it what it is. And man, if I was, you know, I've been around that a bit and, you know, seen what they do, and it's a life, it's a dedication. You stop your life and you are there to protect us. And, you know, there's a lot, that's our freedom, man. That's why we can sit here on the phone and chit chat about rock and roll. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And Brian, thank you again. Merry Christmas to you and the family. And guys, for everybody out there, go on BrianTishy.com and pick up Merry Tishmas. You will not be disappointed. Every track is better than the next. I haven't heard the whole album, but I've heard enough to know that it's a 5-star review for me. And Brian, once again, and thank Jody for me. Like I said, keep up the great work.
Keep drumming.
Oh, thank you all very much, and you guys have a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays and Happy New Year and all that stuff. And thanks for having me on again. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Brian Tishy, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Take care. All right, Gisela,
All right.
you want to do your inquiring minds
Yes.
now? Okay.
I think Steve was in the middle of saying how his mom was.
Oh yeah, well I
his
got
biggest
into
impact.
yeah, when I was a little kid, I got into my mom's record collection, which like
What
I
was
said,
she playing that inspired? Like, was it you said Chuck Berry and stuff?
Well, yeah, actually, probably his singles were there, but like she had Dwayne Eddy albums and
No Elvis?
oh, there was Elvis. Yeah,
Yeah.
there was Elvis. Elvis was one of my early influences.
Yeah.
But she liked the Everly Brothers a lot. A lot of one-offs. Like
Right,
I know all the songs, like Terry Sanford,
Buddy Holly.
Buddy Holly had a lot of hits,
Yeah.
but a lot of one-hit wonders in the '50s, and I know lots of those tunes.
Right.
And by the time I was a young teenager, my mom knew the lyrics to like Alice Cooper, "Be My Lover," and stuff from the Killer album. And you know, my parents were always very supportive on that. They took me to my first, my dad took me to my first Kiss show that we were just talking about
Yeah.
with Brian Tishy. And then when I saw Alice Cooper 2 years later with my dad, me and my young buddy wound up on our own, and Dad wound up at the bar with Eric Carr, who was in Kiss for about a week and a half at
How
that
cool
point.
is that?
Right.
And he brought him to meet me. You know,
Wow.
yeah, so it was just very cool.
I was at Eric's last show at the Garden when Winger and Slaughter opened up that year.
Oh, yeah,
wow.
yeah. Very,
What
very cool.
I know you play the guitar. Was that your first instrument that you?
Yes, pretty much that's all I.
So
you know.
so listening to the records, that would be the sound that would be like more
That
endearing.
stood out to you instead of the drumming, in other
You know.
words? The guitar was
yeah,
the lure?
yeah, like
Right.
Dwayne Eddy and
And
stuff,
Chuck
Silky
Berry.
Strings,
Yes,
Chuck
yes,
Berry.
yes.
And you know, just like your question earlier, do people understand the
Right, the
history of
history,
whatever they're
yeah.
doing, comedy, music? I can't fathom people that like Guns N' Roses not knowing Aerosmith stuff before them, the Rolling Stones before that, and Chuck Berry before that.
I see, my problem is I don't like people. If you like Guns N' Roses, okay, you'll know the radio hits, but you better know the stuff that nobody knows about if you're going to be a fan. You
Yeah,
know what
One
I'm
in a
saying?
Million. And,
Yeah, exactly,
The
yeah.
real deep stuff.
Right.
you
But-
know.
and so the question, what
radio's
was the
killed a lot
question
of
now you
stuff.
were asked him about
Yeah,
the
well,
influence?
he answered that. The biggest impact with his
All right,
mom.
and now you have to ask
So
Dave.
yeah,
Now she
Dave.
has to ask everybody.
Now,
yeah.
yeah, Dave.
That's how this process usually
Yeah.
works.
Thank you for clarifying, Carlo.
Oh, you're welcome. I just wanted to make sure you're on your toes.
And you know, and
I'm on my butt.
and my
okay,
mom
now.
still comes to see my band.
Oh, she comes
Yes,
a
she
lot.
does.
Every like she's been to almost every show
Yes.
within a 110-mile radius.
Yes.
I forgive her for missing Buffalo and Los Angeles.
She was always at Murray
Right.
Grove.
I went there.
yeah, that's
That's
right.
right, you went all the
was
way
in
to LA.
Thank you.
So
But anyway, so mom, and it's your
yes.
turn.
Yeah.
And you? Who was your
My
first?
grandmother. And for very similar reasons. Like, my parents, they played a lot of, like, Motown and doo-wop and stuff in the house. So that was the music I had growing up. But my grandmother, who would watch me, like, so my parents would work, so I would, go see her after school. And
Right.
or she'd come by me or whatever combination was happening at the time. And I would sit, and became a huge fan. Like, when I was a kid, I wanted to be, like, a Vegas lounge singer.
Yeah.
Because I would watch, like, Lawrence Welk and everything with her, Liberace, watch all the Elvis things on TV with her. So, like, Elvis I was a huge fan as a kid.
Right.
And I thought those were the coolest things in the world. Because all these ladies adored him. And then, like, my dad would make fun of me.
Yeah.
And it was like, then he's like, listen, he's like, you're a kid. You're with your grandmother. I get it, but I mean, come on, seriously.
Dave, were you the kind of kid
Trying
that...
And my mom...
knock some sense
I can
into
just
you.
see Dave there. I want to look at Liberace.
Pretty much. No, but my mom hated all these famous people. Like, she had a big disdain for most of the world. So when she's like, I don't understand why people go and throw in their bra and panties. What the hell's wrong with these people? They're just stupid.
Yeah.
You know, she didn't understand that part of the fandom. Like, I was looking forward to that part of fandom.
Right.
No matter what I wanted to do. I wanted to be on a stage somewhere where people can throw shit at me.
And here
I
you
don't
are.
care what it is anymore at this point. But whatever. I want, and like...
Bras are
that's
better than them 80s. I'll tell
Yeah.
you.
So is that what brought you to the stage?
Pretty much, yeah. My grandmother got me...
Dave, did you spend
wanted to
more
be
time
in-
with her as a kid than your actual parents? Like, because there's kids that grew up like
Sort of.
that. They spend more time.
Not
like,
because we lived together, but just the dynamic with my parents working, you know.
Right.
When I was younger, it was definitely, you know, to have an adult there, I'd be with my grandma. She was like 2 blocks from my school. And then it got to a point where she wasn't allowed to, like, meet me at lunch for school anymore because there was an incident with the principal where she choked him. And, well, because I was being a wise-ass kid, and, you know, he was trying to straighten me out and get me in line with the rest of the kids.
Right.
And she wasn't having that.
She wasn't having any of that. She grabbed him by the tie and choked him, pulled it up on him, and then
Oh,
put it right
wow.
to the throat.
Ah, that
Dug her
girl.
nails in his neck. And, yeah, she wasn't allowed back.
I wonder why. No.
Yeah.
What about you, Sal? Who had
Oh, gosh.
the biggest impact?
My father. Dad was a big Yankee fan. I forgot what age I was, and I couldn't sleep. And I jot things down about the Yankees, and he's like, he used to find my writings and say, you should do something about this. I said, yeah. I was going to go play pro ball, but I broke my ankle. He was going to send me to Florida. So the next best thing was, okay, 2 years to go with the sanitation department. What am I going to do? So I went to the Connecticut School of Broadcasting, got accepted, didn't go yet. When I retired, I said, now I'll go.
Oh, you did go?
No, I went, but I didn't go. This is how this all came about. About a year ago when Richie Santa came up here to do the show on Jerry's show, I was with him and his brother Rob.
Over 18 shows.
And then I looked around in here. I didn't know anybody yet. And I asked Jerry, I said, did you go to school for this? She goes, no. I went, that's when the light bulb went off.
Yeah.
I went in the other room. I called my friend, who's my co-host, Jen. I says...
Wasn't she supposed to show up today?
Well, we won't talk
she's
about that.
not feeling well.
Oh, okay.
And I said, I have an idea for a show. She goes, what? Wrestling. Let's
There you
start
go.
wrestling. And we started, our first show was April 26th here.
Yes.
And we've just kept growing and growing. And how I got to, I dressed as The Undertaker, going to arenas and events, taking pictures with kids. And
That's funny.
it's a great. And I've met Mark twice. In 1996 with Paul Bearer, dressed like him. I was in the middle of both of them.
Mhm.
And handing him a picture of me, that exact picture, last year at Ace Comic-Con at the Nassau Coliseum. And he was taken back by it. And getting to your story with Bob Backlund, next Wednesday, on December 26th, would mark my 35th anniversary going to MSG to a live event.
Oh,
was there
okay.
in
I used to go every month to the Garden.
I was there in 1983 and seen the Sheik beat Bob Backlund that night.
Wow.
Yes.
And I've been going to a lot of events. And speaking of Kiss,
I was going to say, was it
Bubba
the
Backlund,
Kiss show?
terrible
and,
chumping.
I am going for the take my son March 27th to the Garden.
I want to go, but
First
I don't
I'll
have
father,
the
go
money.
to the Prudential show in
first
August.
father-son concert,
I'm gonna
and he
try
lives
and
in
get
PA,
tickets
and
for
they're
that.
playing out by Hershey Park by him.
Aw.
But when I saw the ticket price, you know, it's not a bad place to see a show because I seen Bon Jovi out there.
What, Hershey Park?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, it's a
the
nice
stadium. But I don't want to sit too far back. At the Garden, the Garden shows the experience
That's true.
to see that
Yeah.
band. And if you listen to the town hall meeting on Sirius, it's going to be a
Right.
show like no other, according to Paul. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say your inspiration was the Grand Wizard.
No,
No,
Liberace. Hulkamania was, you know, after a while, got a little, you know, him turned with the NWO, brought him back to more fame.
Yeah.
But when
And
Taker
it's not
came,
really
when,
inspiration. We were talking
when
about
the
the person who
Undertaker
had
came on the
impacted.
scene in 1990, when Ted DiBiase goes and led to the ring by his brother Love, and here comes this huge guy, almost 7 feet tall. I'm like, now that's a great character, which will never be duplicated. And hopefully he's going into the Hall of Fame next, you know,
Yeah.
another month, hopefully.
All right, Cal, you're
yep.
up.
Before I answer,
Sure.
I have an editorial comment. You all were talking a while ago about TV shows and stuff. And
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I was brutally silent because 25, 30 years ago, I stopped watching television.
Really? Why?
Just a lot of reasons. Part of it was Dallas when they had that whole fake year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was a huge television person, watched it, and then all of a sudden they have this whole year of Dallas, and then it's all a dream.
So you don't know who shot JR?
Right.
Well, the girl, I know.
His
who did it.
sister-in-law.
Bing Crosby's daughter did it. But
Yes.
So I was so insulted by that. Intellectually and spiritually, and the fact that they
it caused you to stop watching it, though? It had that much of an impact on you?
Yeah, it did. It
Oh,
did.
wow. Okay.
So I completely stopped watching. Well, because I didn't want to invest my
Your
time
time,
and energy
right.
Into something that's not
and
genuine, in other words?
That's right.
I felt like that too with a few shows.
So
that
I was
invested.
so, and for 25, 30 years, I don't watch television.
I felt that way when the Flintstones brought in the Great Gazoo. It was just so unrealistic.
Exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
seriously.
That ruined the show. That jumped the shark.
I haven't been the same
That
since
jumped
they
the
took
pterodactyl.
Charmed
Oh,
off
and
the
every
air,
link,
so
I just thought
I
that was it,
understand. Yeah,
No, but he's right. Sometimes you're so
And
invested
they
in
redid
something and
Dallas
then they just stop.
with the original.
Well, Debbie, right?
I actually enjoyed that
I-
remake.
I
that they
did
That was
too,
great
and they
because
also
with the
stopped
with
that.
the kids was great.
Well,
Yeah.
because
Then-
they had the actual people
Well,
in
once-
That's what I'm saying. They brought
Yeah.
everybody back. I
And
thought
once
that was
Larry
really-
passed away, that was basically it. So.
Yeah.
So what's your question
Wait,
for
he didn't
Cal?
answer
No, I
me.
want him to-
Okay. So what is who had the biggest impact on the person that you've become?
I have
Larry Hagman.
Larry, that's exactly what I was thinking.
So it's two-pronged.
Okay.
On the life side, and this gets heavy. You want heavy, folks?
Of course, anything.
Yeah.
So first, it was my mother who molded me and taught me, and so much of what I am and who I am today, the way I run around and absorb, and 7 days a week I'm running around. It's because my mother told me to take life in and don't miss anything. And so she gave me the greatest lessons and molded me, and like who and what I am and what I've accomplished is a lot in part due to her. And then there's another element, spiritually, it's my grandfather, and the relationship I have with my grandfather, whom I never met because he died in 1937.
Wow.
That is so powerful spiritually that it's now driving me to express that in my second novel, which I'm 2/3 done. So it's a little plug. Part of the title of it's fiction, but not really, but fiction, is a journey to spirit. And my grandfather is in the middle of everything, and it would take about 12 hours now. We don't have that time for me to
get
begin
into
to
the
lay
whole
down
thing.
the foundation of why I say it's my grandfather. Haunting. So that's it.
That's awesome.
But all right, that was a great question.
answer. There's no right or wrong answer here.
What about
there
you?
isn't. A great question.
Carlo?
That's wrong.
Also, I would have to say mine is two-pronged. One would be my dad. My dad was had a hard life and wanted me to not wind up like him. One of his famous sayings is, "I don't want you to be a donkey like me." My father worked hard for a living, but he was also involved in other things that weren't exactly above board, and he was still my dad, and I still loved him. I miss him to this day. He taught me about tough love, and I'm glad he raised me up that way to question everything because, especially nowadays, everybody's looking to take advantage. I grew up like that. Street smart. He taught me street smarts, which I think is one of the best educations a person can get. And the book Smart I found on my own, and I realized that some of the ways that he taught me are a little archaic now and antiquated because, not that I have a bad temper, but my first instinct is when somebody aggravates me or rubs me the wrong way, I want to hang them on the hook. So the person. The second person would be Gisela. She taught me a kinder, gentler, and everybody says that you've calmed down now. She is like a muse to me. She's my better half, and you know, she just teaches me to relax and don't, you know, get so crazy. And I've calmed down a lot because, you know, before her, if somebody rubbed me the wrong way, it was Hulk smash, and you were done. You know. So now I guess I'm getting older, and as you get older, you get wiser, and I definitely, yeah.
That's right.
Wow, I didn't expect that.
I had a temper like that. I had a temper like that where I just want to punch somebody in the throat. But
yeah, it's your ex-wife. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
It's funny. It's funny you said Hulk smash because she's like the Black Widow in the Avengers, and she's going like that with the Hulk to calm him down.
Calm down. But my person would be my grandfather.
Oh, Mastro Mario.
Yes, Mastro Mario. I have a father. He's alive and well. He lives in Italy.
And he's probably in a nightclub right now.
He was like maybe he was 5% active in my life. My grandfather was more like a dad to me, and he made me feel like I was the only girl in the world. He made me feel like I was beautiful, that I had talent, and he loved to show me off. And everywhere I went, he would hold me hand in hand and say, "This is my granddaughter." And whether we would go to the cafe on the corner and get me a little ice cream, or if we were at a party, he would always bring me up to the mic so I could sing because he was so proud of me singing, and show me off to all his friends. So because of them, it's strange how life happens and where I am today. Not that I'm singing on the radio or anything like that, but just the fact that my voice is being heard by God knows how many people. He always said, I have a voice for the radio. And here I am.
I got a
with
face
all
for
you
radio.
guys.
We got a lot.
Joe, let me ask you a question. Had your dad been more active in your life, do you think you still would have had that close bond with your grandfather? Or
I'm
did he
not
feel like he had to
sure.
take up the slack where your father...
I never knew I was missing a dad because of my grandfather. I never knew I was missing a dad until I got old enough, you know, where I was invited to Sweet 16s, and then I seen, you know, people having their dance with their father or things like that. I never really knew that I was missing a dad. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, my grandfather walked me down the aisle, so he was my father to me. You know, the only people that ever brought it to my attention was his own children saying, "That's not your father, that's your grandfather." But in my eyes and in my heart, he was my dad. And, you know, it's nice to know, like even now, a few people, you know, spirit guides. Well, I could say one because she's on our show, Maureen. She says to me that my grandfather is right here next to me right now and guiding me. Maybe what brought me to New Jersey brought me to Hamilton Radio and brought me to Carlo and brought me here. Because my life has changed
Things
tremendously.
in life happen for a reason.
You know, so instead of being, like, as Carlos says, in a bubble, and maybe that's why I have different wisdom. I didn't go to clubs. I didn't hang out on the streets. I didn't go to bars. I didn't drink and come home drunk.
I did all that today.
I didn't have the wild life that most of you have. I had more of a lifestyle of growing up in an Italian home, learning to cook, clean, be domestic. Not so much pushing the education or anything like that. So
it's funny, we were talking
you know,
about
just
being
learning.
street smart and all that.
Right.
There's a lot of old school, as
Yes.
you would say in Italian, a lot of
Well,
old school.
that was my mentality as well, and I've sort of evolved. I'd like to think I have.
Here, I mean, and you know, even though my grandmother was a big part of my life, my grandmother always used to joke around because I was my grandfather's favorite and my sister was my grandmother's favorite. So we would joke, you know, we were 11 months apart.
You were saying last week's Christmas show and how it was in Brooklyn.
Yep.
And when I was still living on West State Street off of Kings Highway there, and when everybody was alive in my house, they would come over. There would be like 125 people in my basement. Who was cooking?
Sky's the limit. The stove was always
sisters,
on.
My
Right.
uncles, and stuff like
And
that.
I like that. So Carlo's different. I love, you know, that's only one thing that I do miss. I love to have family and friends around. I love cooking.
I do.
I love catering to people. And you know, a lot of people take me the wrong way because they feel like I want something in return. I don't. It's just that I miss that little family atmosphere. So when I'm around everyone, you guys are like my family to me. And I don't just say that so I can get brownie points. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. You know, when I say I love you, I really do. I love all you guys. Like, you're my family. And to me, you know, like I said, everything happens for a reason. So this is my, I guess this is my way of giving back. You know, you guys would have never met me otherwise, huh?
Right.
Now we just hope, hopefully our children, our daughters, sons, whatever, and then they take now our generation goes and
Yeah.
carries over, and hopefully they do the same.
Well, you know something. I mean, you're talking in a different sense.
Yeah.
But I wanted to say before, when you were saying you're taking your son to see Kiss.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
my
awesome.
dad took me to that show we mentioned in 1979, and now my daughter has seen Kiss and has a shirt on, and it's pretty cool to
History
see.
repeats
It's
itself.
funny.
Yeah.
My son a couple of years ago picked up a guitar and boof, just started playing. He would hear a song now, shut it off, and start wailing. And I go, wow, Nicky, you
He plays by
got an
ear.
ear for music. I don't
Yeah.
play any
That's
instruments.
my father, too. Right.
I used to
You got
hang
it
out
from
with AJ
somewhere.
from Twisted Sister. He used to play in my and Richie and Robert had bar bands back in the day, top 40 bands, and we'd play all the bars in Brooklyn you can think of, Ryan Taylor House, Wheelers. And Richie's band, AJ was the drummer.
Mhm. Right.
AJ was a great guy, and unfortunately passed away, and I was at his wake. And I remember before they got back together, they were going to Japan, I think. Twisted Sister, and he's like, Sal, you got to watch my drum set for me. And he says he was such a sweetheart.
Yeah. I used to run into him at Billy O's in Staten
He lived,
Island.
yeah, he lived in Staten Island. I ran
Yeah.
into him at Toys R Us one day. He was
Wow,
shopping with
Billy
his
O's.
wife.
I
You
never
know
been
Billy
there.
O's?
I never been there, but I passed by so many times
Oh, did
driving
you?
my daughter to school.
Yeah,
All right, I wanted to. We got to get out of here because we're running late. Just want to remind everybody that the new time slot is 7:30 to 9:30. We may tweak that, but as of now,
Well,
because
then we're gonna have to go for my last question, though. Because
We-
it's
we can hold off on that
2019.
'cause we gotta get outta here.
No,
That's all right, she
just
could go. Go for it.
2019. Let's go.
What?
We're not gonna
Hey,
do
let's make it
we're not
quick.
doing resolutions. What's your hopes for 2019? Start.
Me?
Yeah, Sal.
Take It 2 takes over and Jay, one of the top wrestling talk shows.
Cool.
Okay. Cal?
Cal.
Oh, gosh. I just wish the planet would pay more attention to the planet.
Okay, that's I agree with you.
And you, Carlo?
I just want to. I want to evolve personally. I want to get my personal situation. I have some housekeeping to do, and I want to make Animal House Radio a household name.
And you, Steve?
I want to help with the Animal House Radio becoming
Awesome.
a household name.
Yes.
And I want all my friends to join me at the Starland Ballroom on March 23rd.
Absolutely.
Ripped is comeback show.
I gotta come this year. No.
We're playing with 10, a tribute
okay,
to Pearl Jam.
Pearl Jam, yes.
Yep.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
And Dave?
Any whiny Jeremys there?
Ron Jeremy?
No, any whiny little Jeremys.
Ron Jeremy's under the table.
Not Ron.
Dave wants to appeal Coogan's Law and steal all the goddamn interns'
No.
money.
So,
Ron Jeremy's calling.
The one thing I want, and it's the same thing I've wanted every year since I was a child, I want to buy the world a Coke.
How about
That's a lot of
ShopRite's
Coke.
Crunchy Cola?
And I'm with you guys. I want to take Animal House Radio to the next level. I believe that we're great together, and we're a force to be reckoned with. So watch out,
Absolutely.
2019. 'cause
Yes,
here
I
we
want to
come.
thank.
Better recognize.
Thanks to Hamilton Radio, though.
Yes, I want to
Recognize.
listen.
Thank
I
you.
break
Gino.
balls. I want to thank Gene and Ruben
Yeah.
for putting up with me.
Or Ruben and Gene.
And
Or
no matter
put
how
up with
much,
everybody, actually.
when I stop breaking your balls, then you got to worry. That it's only a sign of love, and I'm very anal about
the
the show.
sad
He has
truth,
that
though.
bumper sticker.
That
I
is
break
the
for
sad
balls.
truth. Yes.
I break
He's
their
definitely
balls. but
very anal.
Hopefully not
I'm
blue
anal
ones.
about the shows because I'm committed to it, and that's
he needs to
why.
be committed.
So if I seem a little overbearing at times, asking for a file that it takes 3 weeks to send me, I apologize.
yet?
I want to thank all my co-hosts for showing up every week, even though they have
Most
like
weeks.
kids to take care of and other stuff going on. I want to thank my two guests tonight, Sal and Cal, who are welcome
Sal
on
and
this
Cal.
show
Sal and Cal.
anytime.
That sounds like a law firm.
Thank you for being a supporter of the show.
Rabinowitz and Rabinowitz.
And I want to thank everybody out there who listens every week, and to all our servicemen and women.
Yes.
Thank you for your service. I know you can't be with your family, and just know that we're thinking about you, and hopefully you guys will come home soon. I want to
Can I
thank
do a cheap plug after you're done?
Brian. Hold on, Brian Tishy. I want to thank Brian Tishy, and I want to thank our celebrity guest tonight,
Joe Mantegna.
Joe Mantegna. And I wanted to just play this again for you.
Yes.
This is a message for all our servicemen and women from Joe Mantegna to you guys.
To all our servicemen and women at home and around the world defending freedom, this is Joe Mantegna wishing you a very happy holidays. You may be a long way from home, but your incredible bravery and sacrifice is always on our minds. And may the new year be filled with peace and prosperity for all.
All right, let's go around the room real quick. March.
March 23rd, Saturday night, Starland Ballroom. Ripped.
Okay. Dave?
This Sunday, I'm going to be in Scotch Plains, Mr. Direct's show for the holiday special.
Okay. Who's on that show with you?
I don't remember.
Don't know? Okay.
Some
It's gonna
guy.
be a great
Ron
show.
Jeremy.
It's
Changed several
unforgettable.
times.
No.
So
Listen, Christmas is coming up, and Gisela Bella has the most affordable stuff with the
evolved.
highest quality. So if you need stuff, go to GiselaBella.com or reach out to her on Facebook. She can make anything you need.
If you're down the Jersey Shore area, we
Yeah,
are
yes.
having an open house.
And if you act now, you get free shipping.
So, and if you come over and you get some.
We got
you get a little something on the side. I'm looking at.
We got. I have a little flea market that I'm doing out of the front of my house. I have candles. I have. Gisela has her handmade jewelry, her handmade customized clothing. Most things she could do within a 24-hour period. So if you're looking for that last-minute gift, definitely give her a try. If there's anything you want, she can make it. If you can dream it, she can make it. And once again, I want to thank all our listeners. And
Hello, listeners.
I'm getting and Cal, who is a journalist and novelist, and he's got a broadcaster. Where could they find New Jersey Discover Live?
NJDiscover.com. It's really simple. NJDiscover.com.
And
all my writings and interviews.
Is that weekly?
It's actually whenever I'm in the mood.
Okay.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, it's
It's
just a mood
moodly.
thing. Yeah, it's
There you go.
a pure mood thing. Whenever I'm in the mood, we do it. But I do a lot of interesting interviews of people.
Just regular people, right?
On NJDiscover.com.
Well, it was a thank you for coming. It was
I'm
great
gonna
to
be on
finally
It was
meet.
a thrill for me to be here
Well,
for so
it's-
many reasons.
And you're welcome. The door is open anytime, even
Thank
though you might hit your
Actually,
head
it's
walking
closed.
in because you're like 7 feet tall. But
Yeah, I need more headroom.
And I forgot I'm going to be on Marianne's show on
Yeah, you wanna plug
January
it?
16th.
Just got to duck.
Yes, I hope the new year is good for
Oh,
everybody. And
sweet,
thank
cool.
you to all the listeners. You know who you are who watch us every week. And keep, if you haven't done so, like Animal House Radio on Facebook. Check us out on Instagram, Twitter. There's more celebrities coming up in the new year. And to everybody here, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year from
Hey!
Animal House Radio. And we'll see you all.
And if you ain't down with that, we got 2 words for you.
Happy
Suck
Kwanzaa.
it!
We'll see you all next year.
Happy New Year. Merry Christmas.
Great.
Happy Hanukkah.